your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not. Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
All right. Hey, how's it going? Good afternoon, everyone. Can't even say GMCG because it's afternoon today. Today, I have my baseball bat because yesterday I was off stream for a good amount of it. I was at a baseball game. As you know, I'm based out of Toronto. So the Toronto Blue Jays absolutely walloped the Miami Marlins yesterday. And so, I have my bat here. Oh, my goodness. No. But, hey, 8-1 win for the boys up north, and the Marlins got cranked with a grand slam from some guy I don't even know. So if you guys watch baseball, I of course am a fan. Toronto made it to the finals last year, and we lost to LA, which was devastating. But another prop for the studios. Can I have the baseball bat? This acts as both a prop for baseball, and I think it's a junior bat. It's not even one I play with, but also a little bit of home defense too, so got to keep that handy. All right, guys, we're going to crack into it today. I have hot off the press, a huge D-Lim trade last night. So as you know, I got the Solana Seeker phone, which is, by the way, it's great. I know there's all these Android haters out there, but I will say I've been thoroughly enjoying my Solana Seeker phone. This is the best device for traders. Not only is there a cold wallet in this, but the click to sign or the scan to sign on your thumb print is amazing. I'm like an old school Ledger, Connect wallet. I literally just figured out, how to extend the time for your Phantom wallet so it doesn't.
How much did Seeker pay this guy, boys?
Seeker paid me nothing other than gave me his free phone through the Easy A hackathon. But yo, I gotta say the Solana Seeker phone is great. If you're looking for a new device, highly recommend it. The reason it's great is because last night, you know, we're a couple pints deep. We're at the Jays game. I see this zinc thing pop up, and I'm like, all right, let me like tap in. What's this zinc thing? This trade. I'm just gonna tee this up for you boys right now. This trade or this ticker started generating some volume. First, it popped on my radar not on Dex Screener, guys, on Meteora's DLMM trading platform. And it popped onto my radar. If you go to on the DLM trading platform, you go discover pools, and then you can click new pairs. And there you can find kind of all trending pairs. And if you sort by fees, and I use the 1 hour or 30-minute time frame, you can kind of see stuff that's like really quickly trending. So if over a 30 or 1 hour time frame, you know, fees start coming into a pool, it'll pop up there. So I go and I'm doing some DD on Zinc. I'm like, oh shit, this was launched through MetaDAO. Okay. They raised 900, almost $1 million in their Futarki treasury. And at the time last night, you know, when the boy was at, you know, coming home from the game, few pints, 11 p.m. Eastern, around that. I mean, this was trading like 700K, sub 700K, somewhere around here. That's 7 p.m. So somewhere around here. And I threw on a DLIM trade. I went to Jupiter and I bought, you know, a bunch of the token and then paired it with a lesser amount of SOL, but still some SOL. I did a spot bid-ask strategy. So a layer of spot and then a layer of bid-ask. So I get the meat of the move. You know, I capture the meat of the move, both on the downside and upside. So far, this trade has absolutely printed. This now is getting a lot of traction. And guys, this is why I DLIM. And to be honest with you, on-chain, look, I've traded a bunch on-chain. I've traded a bunch of products, but man, it is definitely positive EV to be trading to DLIMing. So I'll show you guys this here. Huge win. Look, my win rate, you know, 70%. This was higher. It was 80%, but yesterday had a few trades go the wrong way. A couple of key things when you're DLIMing is you need SOL strength. If SOL is, you know, kind of getting crushed and it's, you know, going down, the likelihood of all the coins you're providing liquidity to going down is going to be higher. So you want to see SOL relative strength. But yeah, if I look at this card here, I've already claimed about 2 SOL in fees in Solana tokens, and then another 2 SOL in Zinc, all of which I've rolled back into this DLM trade. And I'm printing about 70% APR per day, per 24-hour period currently with the current volumes. So in 24 hours from now, again, I'll print another 70% APR, given that the volumes stay what they are. Now, if the volumes grow, this APR likely will go up. Of course, that's dependent largely on the other liquidity providers in the pools. So highly recommend DLMing, DLMM. This is a great way to trade because you don't overly expose yourself, right? Because you're buying, you know, let's say you have 10 SOL, you might buy 5 SOL of the token, and then you keep 5 SOL in the quote token or SOL itself, or if you're using USDC. So you're getting exposure to the fees, but again, you're not overly exposing versus if you went and just full ported 10 SOL into the chart, and you know, as it's going against you, A, you're not collecting fees, but B, you're also like kind of stuck in that trade. So I really like this. I have like my break even point now is kind of so low on this because I've earned so much that even if this were to kind of pull back here, I'd be happy with that. I want it to pull back. And then I just want it to range in here, volume grow. Why I like Zinc so much, I think there's a few catalysts. So not only is this a MetaDAO version of ore supply, but it also probably will get, you know, a bit of the MetaDAO retweets and whatnot. So maybe MetaDAO pushes us, maybe even Solana pushes us. So yeah, we'll again we'll see kind of if this goes. But disclosure, I do have an active trade, as you saw. I do have liquidity in the range, and I am long Zinc as well. If I were you, I would withdraw your soul and add it back, bid ask again. Yeah, actually, Crypto Jones, I've had to rebalance this like twice because a lot of my soul was out of the range. Now I rolled it back in on a curve strategy so that the majority of the liquidity was at the current price, which I'm actually comfortable with. Where that strategy goes wrong is if you're providing liquidity to like pump meme coins. Pump meme coins, a lot of the time they'll draw down 90% and then they'll draw down like another 50% and you just get killed in the trade. Never do that on that. But something like MetaDAO, where the treasury kind of put a floor in around the 900K to 1 million market cap range because they had 900K of treasury, I felt pretty strongly that not only am I early to the trade, but also I felt that the trade would go back. There was a good chance that this would run 2 to 5 mil. We're currently like 1.5 mil. We just got some numbers out from Zinc Cash, and numbers 1,100 miners, 4,400 in SOL volume. Let me do some quick maths on that. I think that's times 100. That's about 4.4 million, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe $4 million. So 4,400 times 90. Oh no, so that's like 400,000 in volume. Either way, 400,000 in volume on the. Oh no, okay. They say 3.5 million in Zinc trading volume. So maybe my math's off there, guys. But either way, what I think this is also interesting is this is using Archeum. So we've seen kind of ore supply. We've seen Bean, which I've been long at previous times. Shout out Low Cap Hunter, who's currently long Bean. One of the challenges in GM Roman, good to see CPT back with the updates. I'm going to cover CPT in a minute here. But what I like about this is Archeum adds a layer of privacy to whatever strategy you're deploying to the grid. So on ore supply that doesn't exist. And I also think Archeum is going to have like a bit of an ecosystem push here. They're about to launch their token at some point in the near future. And so I think there's some upside here. So long story short, I like Zinc. I think if you can get it on a dip, great. Even better if you can provide liquidity, go to was it meteor.ag-DLMM. I wish they had their ref system live because I'd like to be getting those ref fees from y'all. As you guys hear about DLMing through Meteor. But man, as soon as I stop trading on DLM and I start trading just buying coins, my win rate definitely declines and my profitability declines. So I'm going to stick with DLMing for now. And we're going to run it there. So keep Zinc on a watch list. I think this is one that here I could definitely see running again to the 2 mil area, and all my liquidity is in there. Let's go to CPT. You guys know that I've been an Impulsor fan. I currently am not in Impulsor, but I know my homie and co-host Dinero Dom is. So GG's for Dinero, as we've seen some updates. Look, guys, I'm a little mad with myself. We knew, and we knew there was updates coming. And not even we as MCG, like if you're in the Impulsor chat and you're following their Telegram, they said that there would be an update. And so Faded that didn't position for that. I knew that was coming, that, hey, they would provide an update. And obviously that news hit the tape and CPT went crazy and it ran from, let's see, if I were to go back here, ran from what, 500K to 2.5. So like a 5X in, 3 hours. Wild. I'm sure some people took liquidity on there. Obviously you can see it on the chart. I don't blame them because this was like zero vol for like a significant amount of time. It's kind of leveling out here. I think the news was kind of baked in. I mean, they had talked about, in my opinion, they had already talked about domiciling in the US back when we had streams with Patrick and Roman. So I didn't find the news necessarily to be like new and novel. But I think directionally, like it's the right kind of thing, and it's a legitimate company, S tier founder, and Patrick having taken a company live on the Nasdaq, hitting a $10 billion market cap in some streaming app. But here we go, Impulsor Swarm Drone. This was like, again, my feedback here is I want to see live products, right? Like we see kind of these 3D screenshots, schematics, patent filings. Again, patent filings are just something that gets publicly put out there for, and in the words of Anduril's founder, Palmer Luckey, patent filings in the US end up as in China's basically copied by China for what it's worth. So he says, don't file patents, which I thought was kind of interesting. Be either way, proof of concept achieved here. So proof of concept achieved, minimum viable product in development. Excited to see this. I'd love to see a video of like a drone hovering for 24 hours. I mean, if I saw that, I would personally reprice CPT higher if I could, which I can't. So don't take that as any sort of directional thing. But MVP in development, CBT enabled hangar consisting 3 AI controlled drones with auto charging and mission execution capability. Again, this is a massive freaking unlock. I don't think you guys realize how big this is. CBT hangars are arranged as stackable. Again, that we saw about 6 months ago, the modular design in Ukraine is key. Drones popping out of a box with their batteries installed and charged with a Starlink terminal that can be carried on the back of a truck, that can go and infiltrate a highly defended airfield with active air defense, and then destroy multi-hundreds of millions of dollars in targets. Roman, this is why I'm glad you're in chat right now. That is not 3D. If you can, Roman, Patrick hates this because, you're in chat, you can leak a little alpha, but, Roman, if you want to provide any context, I'll definitely share it. So anyways, this modular technology for drones is really, really important. Impulsor is in an active negotiations with leading AI suppliers for mission execution software. Interestingly enough, Praxis, PRX, is working on that software where they have like a Palantir-like software stack. And if I pull open Praxis, so there might be a bit of a drone barbell forming here, guys. And these are definitely like microcaps, which I really like. Of course, we're the Microcap Gem Show. GM Top Fumbler, good to see you. Just kind of digging into my DLIM trade, which if you haven't seen that, Top Fumbler was a bit of a cook on Zinc. But here's me interviewing Praxis again. If you don't remember, go back and watch this interview. Okay. Let's see if I go to Fly Praxis, maybe we can see one of their videos. Oh, here we go. So this is in the Anduril. Is there volume to this, guys? Maybe not. This is in the Anduril thing. So obviously this is a drone in a simulated environment. But I mean, we're getting good with technology where essentially you could take a picture of an environment, let's say a search and rescue area, maybe provide like a GPS satellite image, or, even just using your camera, take a picture. And this could create a simulated version of that environment, kind of like what we saw with the sim arena yesterday with Kodak. And then you could have the drone fly those routes just by learning off of 3D imagery. Anyways, this is in the Anduril like hackathon thing. And again, any news around that, and it will definitely likely have an effect on Praxis. So let's see here. That drone in image one is real and working. I have crashed it slightly when it took over from the pilot. Okay, yeah, that is really interesting. If I go back to, oh my gosh, I flipped. But yeah, okay, cool, Roman. I mean, you guys saw it. You can go back and see these updates. So it is real. Nice. I'm in Zinc, but not delimbing. All right, Top Bummer. Look, I don't want to compete with your fee take there, so do appreciate you providing liquidity. But yeah, no, I think it's good. I think it's fun to watch for sure. Think on a watch list because Ore Supply's at a 58 million market cap, and actually has been kind of nice. Dom, I'll let you take over teeing up the next guest here in a minute, but I'm just
All good. Yeah, we got 5 minutes anyway. Got a great show today, boys.
Oh, yo, sans this is the Orca pool. We're gonna, we definitely need to pull up Meteor, not Orca. Always use Meteor.
Boo!
Orca's
Boo,
whack.
Orca.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, this has been really hot, actually. 17 mil to 68 mil off the bottom here since the beginning of April. Like, that's a 300% move on a fairly mid cap, I would say. I mean, high, looking longer time frame here, and I'm not gonna think I'm any sort of TA wizard here, but yeah, I mean, I'm not giving you guys much TA advice on this, but anyways, I'd rather do Zinc just because I like a lower cap play or beta play, and I think also the Treasury gives that floor. Yeah, I know. Laugh. Yeah, my Zinc cook just cooking. Dom, do you have anything else you want to cover pre-show before we bring on AEON? I believe.
Aeon,
Which,
yeah, I definitely do.
Aeon.
I definitely want to cover. All right, yeah, I definitely want to cover Deuce. Obviously we covered them yesterday and they had just launched, but they're live now, so I want to cover this. Deus.
Yeah, and
All right,
for
guys.
really quick for people joining, PRX, Praxis, Drone Company, and CPT, Little Drone Barbell could be forming. Keep it on a watch list.
There you have it. Okay, so we got Deus here, who we obviously had on yesterday, and this is a robotics company. It's pretty much a basket of private robotics companies. The TLDR here is there's basically $10 million in net asset values that they have, right? So they have, I think, like $6.9 million invested in private robotics companies. And again, these are the same private robotics companies that Robot Strategy has. Some of these other robotics companies are invested in. They've got 6.9 million invested, about 3 million cash, and about 15 million in the treasury of tokens. TLDR is 17% is circulating, and the fully diluted value doesn't get unlocked for another year. So at the very least, we're sitting below net asset value here. Okay, so understand what that means. Call it 10 million. Let's forget about the token because this is going to fluctuate up and down. They got 10 million bucks here. You're going to take this fully diluted value, right? And we're just going to ask Siri, what's 17% of 44 million? Got to give her a sec. Okay, so 7.5 million. This is at a $7.5 million market cap right now, right? $7.5 million market cap right here at this level, at this 0.5 level. We know they have $10 million of net assets under value. What they're doing is saying, if you're walking down the street and someone says, "Hey guys, I will sell you this dollar right here for 75 cents," would you take it? Would you take it? That's essentially what's happening here, is that there's $1 in net asset value and they're giving it away for, not giving it away, but people are selling it for 0.75 cents. Not really entirely sure why. Maybe they think, okay, well, there's supply overhang, which is valid. But again, we're not really going to have to worry about that for another year or so. And yeah, so
say Deuce. How do you say it?
Deus. It's
Isn't it
Latin,
Deuce?
according
Deus. All right. Yeah. All right,
No,
Top
that's how
Fummer,
you
you're
say it, yes,
like hit us again. You Top Fummer, you give us the phonetic help on this, the assist. Please break it down
Deus.
for us again.
Deus.
Yeah. Deus. Yeah. He did say it. I have to go back and
I think it was Deus is like what he said.
and it is, the token is on Sol. Dom, you mentioned this might be a good DLIM. Again, strong DLIM trades are when you know that there's some sort of floor there and it's not going to drop out of your range and it will go back to the top of the range. There is a Sol token, right?
So this is launched on Base, but they use what's it called? They use Sunrise via Meteora pools to have some supply on Solana. So there's Solana pools. I've actually bought on some Solana pools, bought on Base pools. There's a bit of arbitrage right now. Solana pools look like they're trading at 0.0508, whereas this pool is trading at 0.0504. So there's actually a bit of a discount on the
base one right now, but very nominal difference. But yeah, you can trade on Sol, you can trade on, it's on some centralized exchanges, you can trade on base. But again, the idea here is that they have this basket of private equity stocks, which have actually increased in value. Multiple of them have increased about 100+%, right? It's a very fast growing industry. They have about $10 million of net asset value, not including the token. And right now, this is valuing it at $7.5 million, which is it's a discrepancy. I mean, there's multiple millions off right there. And the irony of it is you take competitors like Robot Strategy and like others, and these competitors of these private robotics companies are trading at 300%, 400%, 500% premiums on the net asset values because people want access to this deal flow. They want access to, these companies. So that's the TLDR. I'm watching it. Again, full transparency, I've averaged some in down here. It just seems pretty obvious to me. I'm not sure if it's a sleepy market or what, but competitors are trading at 4 or 5x premiums. This is trading 30% below net asset value, launched yesterday. So keep an eyes on it. Going to queue up our next segment because we have an exciting one, man. I'm sure you guys have all heard of him. We got Aion coming on. Aaron's going to give us the breakdown on everything here, and I'll drop. There we go, full screen. So we got Aaron coming on, talking about Aion and the framework that they're building. This is an interesting one because with AI, I feel like there's so many frameworks popping up. Now, one thing that's unique, that's standing out about Aion and MyroShark, I believe is pronounced, is they've really been blowing up on GitHub and these open source platforms. Like they have a ton of stars. People are really taking to it nicely. And it seems like there is a liquid tradable kind of beta to this, being the token. So I need the full breakdown. I want to get an idea of how this framework works, if I'm understanding this correctly. So we're going to bring it to you live now. With that being said, we'll pull up Aaron now and we'll get into it. Aaron, welcome.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. You're pretty laggy, so maybe we'll. Yeah, we can hear you, but you're lagging quite a bit. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Maybe consider a little reset here. I'm not sure. It's having some trouble capturing you.
All right, I'm just gonna message him on the side. Dom, maybe pull up the chart if you don't mind to give a little context.
Okay.
I'll just message him.
I got you guys. We'll get him sorted out in a second.
Oh, it looks like his. All right, yeah, it looks like it's getting a little better. I see it, but yeah, just open the chart for context.
I'll open the chart for context and we'll pop him up here in a second. But it does look like he's looking a little bit better. Yeah, so here's the chart, man. We had obviously base was popping off. This absolutely went just parabolic. There was like, I mean, what is this? 8 days, 12 days of just straight green candles. 11 days of straight green candles.
Impressive.
One little, it's so impressive. Like this is just not a chart you would see on Solana. Of course, it's resetting and pulling back now, I think, due to a broader base correction. But here we are at 5 million. So this is the perfect time to get him on because he can prove himself, and we can see if the value lies in the token here at 5 million and how we're looking. It looks like he's good. Aaron, attempt number 2. Yeah, you're looking better this time. All right, we can hear you. Perfect. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries. We are excited to get into it. A lot of people have been talking about Aion, and they are very impressed by the numbers. It seems like the stats are kind of jumping off the chart here based on what I've seen. So we want the full breakdown, and we got you here to do it. So do us a favor and start us off at the top. We want to get to know you and maybe the team that's working on Aion a little bit before we jump into the product. So if you don't mind starting there, we'd love to hear your background.
Yeah, for sure. I've been in the industry for 6 years now. Done a few different startups and like different verticals, music, IP, tons of different stuff. I've started working on Aion approximately 1 year ago. The main idea was to make AI proactive instead of just active. So basically, you don't just type something on ChatGPT, it starts to build things for you and give you directly the knowledge without asking it. I've done like tons of different demo for the past year, and I started to everything from scratch 2 months ago. So it was Aion. MyroShark is another beast. Originally, it's a fork for something that went viral in China called Myrofish. which is a swarm simulation engine. The basic idea is getting lots of different agents with different persona and simulate something. So I took this repo. Basically, it was full of shit and nothing was really working. I've done like 90% of upgrades, done tons of stuff, and made it like really powerful. So it ended up being MiroShark, which was quite viral on X for a few days. Lots of sharing for Mario Norfall and people like that. And for some reason, it ended up being tokenized on Banker. And yeah, as you saw it, like it went pretty wild like past week. And now I'm working on the ecosystem. We've got approximately 40 projects building on top of Aeon and MiroShark. So that's really cool.
Okay, that is really cool. Let's jump into that. So you started off trying to make AI agents about more proactive than they were about a year ago. Obviously, since that time, we've seen kind of the rise of computer use agents, and again, like OpenClaw, where these agents now actually can be more autonomous and get much more proactive. So that's been a pretty fulfilling, I think, vision for you recently. How have you seen that change and just evolve over the last year? I think to start us off.
Yeah. So, I mean, AI models are being really good. Like 1 year ago, it was pretty hard to get them to act autonomously. Right now, it's pretty much solved. There are some agents that can run for 2 or 3 hours, like directly, and OpenClaw is definitely like a big breakthrough in the industry. Aeon acts as the background intelligence for agents, so you can think of OpenClaw, but it acts autonomously. It starts to understand your different patterns. The best example I could share was one time I tweeted that I wanted to build an ecosystem map of Aeon, so on X, and basically my Aeon started to build it directly by listening to what I've been saying. It built a skill and it scheduled the skill every day. So basically every day I had like an overview of every new builder on the ecosystem, and that works for pretty much anything you can think of.
Okay, nice. Well, you have 40 people building on top of Aeon, which I think is generally a good sign. When I'm looking at frameworks and I'm looking at, I guess, platforms like this and trying to gauge whether or not they're valuable, typically the best way to do it is seeing who's building on top of it and the ecosystem, the underlying ecosystem. So it's good to see that you guys already have some traction there. Talk to me about this takeover, right? So there was this open source repo you were working on, contributing to. You said it was full of shit. And basically you came in, cleaned it up, and made it much better. So is this a fully open source project? Can anybody contribute to it as they please?
Yeah. So both projects are open source. Aeon is like 100% my IP. I built everything from scratch. MiroShark, I will say 10% is inspired by Mirofish, mostly the front end. 90% is something new. Both repos are open source and people are building on top. And we are currently building products on top of those repos that are like monetized and that can be integrated. MiroShark will have a X402 endpoint in a few days, which means that people can run with like tons of different application simulation from end to end in 10 minutes for $1. And Aeon will have some hosted instance where you can basically just deploy your agents in a few minutes.
Okay. So help me understand how this process went then. You had built this out, people kind of picked up and started noticing it maybe in the crypto sphere. And then all of a sudden, are you familiar with crypto, or is this kind of your first forte into crypto? But someone just launched a token for you that said, hey, claim your fees, endorse this project. Can you walk me through this process? It seems like kind of the classic banker situation.
Yeah, it is. I would say I'm familiar with crypto, but I've been building in the AI space for quite a while now. Honestly, I think Banker and the Please Bro guys quite helped in me like endorsing the token, I would say like 70%. I'm obviously like knowledgeable about crypto. I know what the token is and what it entails, but I wasn't sure like if it was the right time. And I mean, as a founder, you get tons of questions about is the token the right fit, etc. So yeah, the banker ecosystem kind of pushed me that way. And honestly, right now it's doing really well. The token helped in the ecosystem building, and yeah, I feel like the vibe is pretty positive.
Okay, so you're pretty happy with this token. I know sometimes it goes both. Like for example, we had this OpenClaw situation where the OpenClaw founder had someone tokenize the token, and he pretty much said, "I'm not touching it. I want nothing to do with it." He did claim the fees, but he didn't really, I guess, align with the community in that sense. I think it's very powerful for these open source softwares because all of a sudden you have this kind of bootstrap built-in distribution, and now people can actually feel like some sort of upside when they go and contribute to the open source repos or whatever it might look like. So I think there is, there are pros and cons to it. You'd say generally you're pretty happy with the decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Walk me through how this works then. If I wanted to use OpenClaw, it seems like I also use potentially this with it, or maybe give me a practical run through or walk down of how this works. If I'm just a random person, I want to have these autonomous agents kind of working in the background. Where do you guys fit in that stack?
Yeah, so right now the Aeon onboarding flow is not really UI and UX friendly, to be honest. You go to the GitHub, you clone the repository, you type ./Aeon, and you can start to run it directly. But we want to do something more hosted and better for that. But right now, so without diving too much into the details, but your whole agent is a GitHub repository. So it's really cool because you can host it for free on GitHub. You don't need to buy a Mac Mini. You don't need to get a subscription or pay on OpenRouter because it just works with your existing AI subscription. So everything is free. It runs directly on GitHub, so everything is auditable. It's also composable. So for example, you can get different Aeon instance on focused specific topics, I would say. One focused on more on executing transaction on crypto, one more about searching the trenches, for example. So that works that way. We want to emphasize some specific skill. Right now, there is 150 skills approximately. So there is like tons of way to try it out. For MyroShark, it's similar. You can clone the repo and run it. And we have this X402 endpoint and a Twitter integration coming up.
Okay, okay, help me understand this a little bit better then. So you start with Aeon, and then MyroShark is a product that kind of came from that or spun off out of that. Could you kind of explain, I guess, where they both fit into the ecosystem or where MyroShark comes into it?
Yeah. So Aeon is classic AI framework. People start to understand what that is with OpenClaw. MyroShark is a new category of products. To be totally honest, like we are probably one of the only open source project in this category, and definitely the most advanced one. It's an AI simulation engine, which means that you get tons of different agents that interact together and try to build a worldview of what's going to happen. For example, who will win the World Cup? What will be the best token for the next 7 days? On base, you can do any scenario. And what happens is that there are tons of different agents that starts to build and start to talk together on X, on Reddit, and on Polymarkets. They start to do interaction with each other. There is some like fun conversation they could have. And at the end of the run, you get a report that gives you all the different insights. So it's an interesting market because it's really new. There is 2 startups, at my knowledge, that raised that are valued at more than 1 billion, which are Simile and Yuko, I think. So it's an interesting new market. and both token like are for different use case. MicroShark is about simulation, and Aeon is about generating.
Okay. And
Yeah.
can I ask you a question real quick about these valuations as well? Because I mean, something we saw, for example, you mentioned OpenRouter earlier. I think it's pretty interesting because they just raised $113 million in their Series B. You know, Ansem's also laid this out really nicely, right? When you look at the market cap of crypto, it's a total market cap of 10.75 billion, whereas you know there are plenty of AI models out there themselves, AI companies that are worth many multiples above 10.75 billion. When you look at the value of crypto AI, and like you said, you just mentioned some other raises valued much higher. Where do you think, like, we fall in place? Why do you think crypto is lagging so far behind, I guess, traditional finance in terms of some of the valuations that they're raising at? And do you think we catch up?
Yeah, I think there are two important parts. One is that there is a big issue around valuation more generally in the AI space. I think most people are excited about compute right now. They are excited about token spending, but most of the value we have been seeing mostly accrue from stuff like Cloud Code, so mostly software. For the second part, for crypto, I think there will be definitely a big repricing because the ecosystem is so much focused on revenue right now, where the AI space is kind of wild and just burn tons of billions of dollars on anything that can get a market fit. So I think crypto should just accelerate and start to build at the scale of AI, and not just trying to focus on revenue, which is like something from 23 and not something for 26, at least in the AI space.
Aaron, this feels pretty futuristic AGI, like where it's like you gave the example, you tweeted out an idea and all of a sudden the agent's working on it unprompted. That seems kind of like what we all want agents to do. Am I right in understanding? I'm just trying to fully wrap my head around what's being built here. Is Aeon is a framework for agents similar to other frameworks we've seen, but the real unlock is combining it with this MicroShark, which is more of a prediction framework. It's forward looking and it kind of sees into the future. And you've brought those two things together, and that's kind of the new thing that you've created. Can I confirm that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. My second question, oh man, it escaped my mind here. I had a really great one, but I totally forget. Maybe Dom, if you can pick up.
I'll jump in with one until that comes back. But I want to talk about frameworks because Josh, great job tying the bow on that and explaining the situation. We on the show have had so many different projects come out and talk about their framework and put in all these benchmarks and how it compares in cost savings or memory or whatever else you want to add to it. And I think the biggest difficulty I have here is there's so many frameworks these days. How can someone meaningfully judge which one's the best? And so I guess, Aaron, I'll ask you this, when you look at Aeon, what makes Aeon the best framework, and how are you going to continue to iterate to make sure it stays that way?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much bullshit. Like I'm not really trying to compete on what's the best framework, what's the most efficient one. I feel like everything is accelerating so much that it's pretty much like useless to really try to benchmark and to fight on this competition. What I really want to do right now is building a great ecosystem of agents that do real shit on top of Aeon. I think that's the best product to do that, because you can run an agent forever, and the compute is like built in. You can use your existing subscription. So that's the vision I try to have. One thing that really resonates with crypto is the autonomy and the fact that they can run forever with the right compute. Like there are tons of people trying to build agent for running one day, running 2 days. I've been running Aeon on my instance for 60 days, for 2 months non-stop. It's been working. There is no issue around that. So it's more about like enabling anyone to use that and starts to build like real product on top of that, which mean compute, which mean bounty, which are new categories that we are trying to focus on. Yeah.
My questions come back to me. You mentioned it like some sort of front end. I'm not the type to go to GitHub and clone repositories and stuff like that. But I do like, the ability to kind of click through. That's why ChatGPT works so well. But this seems like something I need, because it's hard to get ChatGPT with all the plugins and everything that you want to take it kind of to the next level and run autonomously like that. You mentioned a front end might be coming in the near future. Can you maybe just expand on that a little bit? Where do you, because I think that's where you hit the inflection point of like real, adoption. I think your product market is only so much with people who can clone repositories, but what point do you get a front end or something that's a little easier for more of the average user to use?
Yeah. So very roughly right now, people are using AI either on ChatGPT or their own OpenClaw instance. There is no way really to host an agent. In a sense, some people are trying to build hosted Hermes or hosted OpenClaw. I won't dive into the detail, but basically it's not made for that, so it's very costly. Aeon is the easiest way to run an agent on the cloud. And so we just want to leave like developer an easy way to run that and to build whatever workflow they want on top of that. So the front end will be like being able to create your own Aeon instance, but also being able to use specific templates, focusing on a real use case, which can be, again, around compute, around doing bounties, around trenches, whatever you want to do using skills.
And you mentioned in the first 60 days, you have your Aeon agent that's been running autonomously. What has been traction like for other people doing the same? Do you have a large cohort of, you mentioned 40, 50 projects, but how many end users are setting up agents and running them?
Non-hosted Aeon, there is like a few hundred people running it daily. It's mostly people that are in the crypto community. We haven't really pushed it in the AI space right now. Yeah, there are some quality of life updates that we are working on to make it more reliable for people in the AI space, especially like around the model, etc. Most people have been running it for quite a while now. And the important part is really about this reliability. It runs for a long time and it's self-improved, which is like very impressive in terms of design, because like it's very easy to break things. If you run some OpenClaw, you know that. So that's the most important part, and the UI and onboarding we're working.
Really quick, what's the roadmap to get to that kind of broader AI consumer product?
Yeah, so we are scaling fast. There is like two different approach. One is upgrading the current Aeon and how that works. We've got some people on that. And also working on the V1 of the Aeon framework, which is something that can be hosted and work more reliably, I would say, and it's also work in progress. So that's the roadmap in terms of technical details, and in terms more of marketing and capabilities. There is like a list of 20 different skills that are very cool that we are currently working on integrating, and still pushing like different projects, doing some partnership around compute, different stuff.
Go ahead, Dom.
So I guess I'm looking at this, and we talk about people building on your ecosystem. You have the GitHub. What's the best way, I guess, users can track growth? Ideally, as someone who's maybe looking to invest in this, I would want to see, how's this being adopted? What does adoption look like? How excited are people for this? In your opinion, what's the best way to track growth? Is it going to be stars on GitHub, forks? Is it going to be builders in the ecosystem? Just kind of trying to give that to the audience here.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part is the builders in the ecosystem and how they are really using Aeon. We tried to do the Web2 playbook at first, but right now we realize that the best way to market the product is really to have 40, 50 different projects building on top and owning the user and flow, and like letting people create their own instance on top of that. So there are, I won't name all of them, but for example, a good one is Aeon Book, which is basically a mode book for Aeon. You are able to run your Aeon instance, craft a personality, run the agent, and run it forever directly on like the platform. There are lots of different ways, but what we want to do is really enable builders to generate new Aeon instance for their users and scale that way. So yeah, that's the most important part, and we are also incubating some projects on top of that to have some specific use case we're excited about.
And how does that roll back to Aeon itself? So you have successful kind of, let's call them apps, similar to apps in an app store, like Aeon Book. They're successful. That then rolls back in what way to Aeon itself, if that product or any one of these products is specifically successful?
You mean for the token or for the revenue?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's talk about the token in terms of just value. Like if there's an Aeon Book user, are they also an Aeon user itself of the framework? I guess by nature they are. And then, yeah, I mean, if you want to start then leading into the token and just ecosystem.
Yeah. So there is 3 different ways we approach like revenue and token like grow in that way. So there is the self-hosted method, which is people just running their Aeon instance. We want to take a percentage on the outcome. So for example, if they manage to get some bounty on a specific platform, we take a percentage of that. For the hosted version of that, like it's just a fixed subscription, like you are used for pretty much every app. And the third part is around the compute, like because Aeon is running on a lot of different instances, and Microshark is also very used in like OpenRouter and the AI community ecosystem. We can pretty much batch the compute. So we are currently working on like expanding that part to own the compute and take a fee on top of it.
Got it. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dom. Maybe get deeper into tokenomics even, Dom, if you could.
Yeah, okay. So we kind of have an idea around the economics. Are you guys seeing any meaningful kind of revenues come from this?
Yeah. So we want to develop a few different products. I won't say that it will start to do 1 million ARR in the next few days, but it's work in progress. In terms of the token framework, we've worked, and I don't want to overhype things, but we'd like to get something that's the most fair possible for a token user. It's fair launched. We never sold any token we want, and all the revenue we do get is from fees right now, and it's being used to pay for the team. So we basically like accumulate token and never sell it for paying the team or anything. We just use ETH. So we are trying to build something that's fair for people that wants to have the token, and we are working on adding like new source of revenues.
So here's how I'm understanding this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like you have 3 different ways of creating revenue right now. It's the self-hosted, where you earn a percentage on the outcomes, for example, bounties. You have the subscription-based platform, where again it's like not self-hosted, and you guys have a subscription, and then also like you pay per compute, maybe pay per pay per click or whatever it might be, pay per token.
Inference,
yeah, pay for the inference nonetheless. So you have this revenue model. It also seems like you mentioned, okay, we're also doing incubation. So you have these fees coming in from the token. It's paying for team. maybe you have some left over. So now you're trying to build out more apps on top of the Aeon framework. Can you talk us through some of the incubation and the apps that you guys are looking into building and how that's kind of going to tie into the broader ecosystem picture?
Yeah, so I can share the detail yet, but I can say that in the next few days we will reveal the first one. There is, I would say, 5 different projects we are very excited about and try to incubate and make it like a killer use case for Aeon. We will also work on some RFP for builders to build on top of Aeon, and yeah, try to build some stuff that we are excited about. But yeah, the basic idea is just similar to what I've said earlier, which is enabling people to create instances very easily on their front ends, pricing it in 3 different ways you described well, and yeah, trying to do something that's not only for the Web3 space, but also for Web2, and trying to abstract as much as possible the AI and the crypto element on it.
So it almost seems like you guys are expanding more so into a crypto lab angle where you're going to have multiple products. I'm wondering if those products are going to also tie back into the tokenomics. So you have one of these become a smash hit, they absolutely blow up. Will the token holders see any sort of the upside on that?
Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, so I'm wondering, it almost seems like you guys are leaning towards more of an AI lab situation, where you're going to have these incubations, you're going to have a bunch of these apps. So the idea becomes, if you have one of these apps go and break out, be a breakout product, goes and crushes, should the token holders expect to see, I guess, any of the growth and upside from one of these killer apps that you guys have incubated?
Yeah, definitely. I can share more right now, but we are trying to find like the right legal structure to do that. It's obviously pretty complicated because we have a live token, and yeah, I mean, US laws is pretty complicated, but we want to have very clear framework for value like increase for the token in the next months, if possible. And the basic idea is that most of the revenue goes back to the token.
Okay, I love that. Maybe help us with this as well, because not everyone here is an AI researcher or has as great of a grasp on this market as you do. When you think about the field you're iterating in, I guess you could kind of compare it to some other AI labs. What is the total addressable market here? What is the TAM? Like, how big could something like this get, so we can all really understand as well as you do?
So as I said, Aeon is most similar to Cloud Code and to all of this harness in the AI space. So it always depends on how you want to value it. For lots of people, Cloud Code is like the most important part of the Anthropic stack, and worth, like, I mean, Anthropic is worth 1 trillion. It grew up probably 5x this year, mostly thanks to Cloud Code. So I would argue that the harness is the most important part of their stack. So I will let people do the math and try to find that around that. I have some pretty bullish views on what the capabilities of Aeon could be, but I want to prove it on the markets. For MicroShark, as I said, it's mostly a new field. There is 2 companies that are worth 1 billion. The most interesting use case for those people right now is mostly advertising. So for example, being able to simulate how people would react with your ads on Meta or Google. It's already a big market with lots of different players. Yeah, so that's the ballpark, I guess.
And are you seeing interest from maybe enterprises, or I guess you would probably be doing enterprise sales for MicroShark, if I'm understanding this correctly? Are you seeing any interest from people looking to use this platform? Are you guys doing a lot of BD on that side, or how's, I guess, that going?
Yeah, so we haven't done a lot of BD. We already have some people that wants to get some licensing deals. We will probably share more about that next week. But yeah, that's an interesting part. Basically, we are killing every consultant and people that have been selling PDF for 5K. We can just run it in 10 minutes. So that's big angle right there. So we have some licensing deal coming up, and we'll try to expand on that as well in the future.
Okay. I guess I'd be interested to know your go-to-market then from here. I'm not sure if you would, I guess it's a little different, each app dependent, but maybe your go-to-market for just blowing up Aeon, the framework itself, and then also some of the incubated apps, some of the apps like MyroShark and the other ones that are being spun up from Aeon's framework.
Yeah, so I think I've shared quite a lot already. For the go-to-market, it would be mostly the apps that we incubate and people on the ecosystem. There are people that have been building integration with Aeon on Hyperliquid, for example. So there are tons of stuff that can be done in the crypto space. We're also talking with some ecosystem to become like the main agent framework to run whatever crypto related. And there is like this self-hosted and hosted part that I've talked a lot about. For MyroShark, it's mostly about building some great experiences around simulation. The two big use cases will be the World Cup coming up in a few weeks. Now we want to do some activation around that. Another one is prediction market and being able to just ask whatever question you can on Polymarket, on Kalshi, and being able to get the simulation directly can be very useful for tons of people. And I mean, we've got the infrastructure to run lots of prediction. So just finding out the right use case and who's willing to pay for it.
Very interesting. Talk me through any partnerships that are worth mentioning. Anything really exciting, people you partner with, partnerships you're working on, maybe that you're looking forward to, just so we can kind of get a better idea outside of just the ecosystem, but maybe people you're working with to make this happen.
I can't really share anything publicly right now. But yeah, we are working with a few different ecosystems.
Okay. What about ongoing funding? Are you guys seeking to do a raise? Are the fees from the token enough for you guys to bootstrap and just do everything you need to? Or how are you guys looking at that and approaching it?
No, right now we have enough funding to work on the project for quite a while. So it's not something we are currently like focusing on or even interested on. We are just like excited to build stuff on top. As I said, and to remind everyone, like the two projects really blew up 2 weeks ago. It went from 300K to 10 million in like a few days. So our focus for the past few weeks have been really about structuring, hiring people, and starting to build a roadmap that works for an ecosystem. Because before that, I was more focused on building Aeon for like my own personal use case more than just 40 people building on top. So there is like obviously tons of work that we have been doing to change that and to make it more easy to build on top. But yeah, I mean, we are really grateful to people building on top of Aeon and on top of MirrorShark. The MirrorShark X4 to endpoint is coming up when Banker goes back up. There is, I think, 5 integration partners for that. And yeah, I'll share the roadmap.
Very exciting. Well, it sounds like this all happened really fast and things just blew up and are taking shape still as we speak. Leave us with this, Aaron. What does the roadmap look like? What are you guys and the internal team most excited for as you kind of move forward into the next coming weeks and months?
Yeah, really showcasing like the potential of both framework. I feel like in the trenches, there are some people that really get the vision. For most of people, it's just mostly like it can do the 100 millionth mode book or an OpenClaw V2, they don't really like understand whole the vision and how it's different architecturally. So first, converting those people, trying to showcase the cool use case around that, and second, to build the product I mentioned. Yeah, I think there are tons of exciting products we can build on top. It's just about creativity and getting the right funders and the right builders to do it.
We'll let you go here, but question from the chat: any cross-chain integrations with Solana-based AI projects that might be interesting in the future?
We do have Squire on next, so
Yeah. So I Chris shared something this morning, but basically we want to have a skill for reselling compute directly on Aeon. So most people that run Aeon right now are using Anthropic subscription, which are like very, how can I say that, subsidized subscription. You pay basically $200 and you get 2K of compute every month. So there is a way for people to leverage that and to basically resell the compute. We will experiment with that, so integrating UsePod on Aeon directly as a skill and letting the agents do the listing and the resale of compute.
Cool.
love it. Well, Aaron, we appreciate your explanation here. I'm excited to see a lot of the ecosystem and what spins up out of this. Again, like I mentioned at the start of the show, I think the best way to really showcase a framework and a product like yours is who's building on top of it, what the ecosystem looks like. And again, you said it's blown up in these last couple of weeks. Already 43 people building on your ecosystem. So huge pat on the back. It seems like
congrats on the success.
Yeah, super cool.
Yes.
We'll be excited, man. We'll have to get you back on in a couple of weeks from now when you have some of these apps rolling out and the incubated projects are starting to flow in and kind of
shoot them our way, and we'll cover them as well. See you, Aaron.
Cool. That's good. Thanks, guys.
Peace, Aaron. There you have it. There was Aeon. Again, I don't know. These frameworks are difficult to judge because there's so many, but I think the best way you could look at it is how many people are building on it, how many meaningful products are coming out of that ecosystem. And for Aeon, there's 43 right now. So off to a hot start. And maybe I'll pull up the chart here so you guys can get an idea on what that looks like. I'll pull up both Aeon and MyroShark for context. But any takeaways?
Yeah, the takeaways is these guys are building some cool stuff for a while, and then they get into a token and the thing rips to 10 million, and it's like it goes from 1 to 100 in like 2 weeks, and then their life is kind of just going nuts. So yeah,
I mean, this is the truth. Like, look, this was sitting here even at 300K for, I mean, sub 300K for 60 days. Okay, I'm not sure if there was an endorsement or what happened or just base picked up, but this went from sub 300K to 14 million, 55 plus X in a time span of like 12 days, right? It does happen fast. It's like slowly, then all at once is truly exonerated by this. Of course, it's on a reset here. This is when you want to really start looking into things, right? We call it late early. Right. So you're late to being early, but you're still early in the general scheme of things. Right. You didn't get in 60 days ago. You didn't get in 12 days ago, 15 days ago before we kind of got this rip. But you now are aware of it, and you get them on a show like MCG and they kind of give the breakdown. And now you think, okay, 5.7 million, 43 builders, they're incubating a couple projects. Maybe MyroShark is a breakout app. How do the token economics flow back to the holders, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's when you kind of got to judge it off of. But nonetheless, 5.7. Let me look up MyroShark, which is another one. Again, that's one of the products built on top of Aeon, right? So this is at 1.1 million, of course, following the same kind of structure here, just based on the base trenches. But again, nice slow grind up, and then we just kind of popped off when base took off. Went to 4.1, now back at 1.1. So keep eyes on that. That was a good little update from Aaron. But nonetheless, we're jumping over here. We got Chris coming on in a second. Going to be exciting. Talking about Squire. Interestingly enough with Squire, I checked out Squire early on. I'm kind of kicking myself because I had this one in the early days, but I see the PFP. I thought it was a meme coin. You guys know my takes on meme coins here.
Yeah, I actually thought it was a meme coin at first too.
And I think this is what I've seen a few people pop up and say, like, initially just disregard it because it was like that guy from Lord of the Rings, maybe a joke, or maybe it wasn't Lord of the Rings, whatever. But disregard it. And now I'm seeing people make meaningful partnerships with them. They're doing some pretty cool things. Okay, this is like, why is this still on my radar? Oh, it's actually not a meme coin. they're doing something pretty cool. So we're gonna get into it and kind of give the breakdown. We got Chris here to do it for us. So Chris, welcome to the show, man. Are you with us?
Hey guys, how are you?
We're
Good.
doing good, man. Exciting stream today. I guess you were talking with Aon a little bit as well about incorporating what you're building with their framework.
For sure. Aaron is a really smart guy. He came to me with an amazing question, the type that really gets a founder's brain turning. He came and said, is there a way that my agents can sell their own inference? And this is a premise that I had 2 months ago when I was working in the Coliseum Agentic Hackathon. And I said, yes, there absolutely is a way your agents can sell their own inference. They can make this decision that the work I could be doing is not positive EV enough for me. Maybe I'll just take the tokens I would spend, sell them on the market, and make more money that way.
Can I ask real quick, was that a connection pre-MCG, or did you guys kind of link up through the show?
Yeah, so it was outside of MCG.
Okay, darn, I was hoping look, we try and make things happen here for everyone. So
yeah, very cool.
No, sorry, go ahead if you wanted to expand on that. It's just
we've been building in the AI space in crypto. Like there's an intersection there, and there's actually a pretty good cabal of AI builders there. Some of them are stuck on their chain of choice. Others are a little bit more flexible. I was very glad to have Aaron reach out to me and propose this idea, and I was over the moon to be able to make it happen for him.
Love it. Well, I'm excited to get into this, Chris. Do us a favor. We want to start at the top, get to know who we're talking to a little bit, and how you qualify to build out Pod, use pod.ai. Now, again, this is a very interesting vertical. I think, we got this, emergence of AI. We got this Clawbot meta. I think after we got this Clawbot meta and these agents started to be very autonomous and do their own things, a lot of conversation about inference really started to emerge. And how can these agents pay for themselves? How can they buy inference? And now we're seeing this, heavily subsidized VC funded inference. Like Aaron mentioned with Claude, you pay $200 and really it's VCs out of pocket forking over $2,000 for you to continue to build. And people are looking for better solutions, decentralized marketplaces, all this stuff. So I'm excited to get into it. But again, walk it back, Dom. Start at the top with us, Chris. And, where do you come into this? What got you excited about inference and the agentic economy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll back up a little bit more. I've been in crypto for 16 years now. I started off as a Bitcoin miner back in 2010. I have seen every cycle. I've seen every cycle that there is to be had. I was building on Bitcoin back when that wasn't something that you could do. I started building on Ethereum as soon as I could. I pulled that into an S&P 500 company I was working at. I started a blockchain R&D division there.
What company? Can you mention the company?
It's IDEX, IDEXX. It's a company
cool.
In your portfolio for sure. I started selling SEC compliant Reg D, Reg S token securities while working at a company called TokenSoft. On-chain KYC and AML, on-chain token listings. We launched Avalanche, we launched the Graph, we launched a bunch of Polkadot ecosystem coins that nobody's heard of at this point. And then about 4 years ago, I founded a company called Elixir. I started off as the co-founder and CTO, did some raises there, built that into an 800 million valuation company.
Wow.
Now I'm sitting here for the past 3 months, looking at the space, trying to figure out what my next thing is going to be. I'm looking at agentic coding. It feels like somewhere in November, somebody's flipped a light switch, and all of a sudden, agents have gone from useless chatbots that hallucinate all the time to really powerful members of your team. And so, I've been going down the rabbit hole for the past 6 months, the same way that you would do with a crypto token, but really just leaning into the agentic economy. Got into the Coliseum hackathon, the Agentic hackathon 3 months ago. Followed it up with the Frontier hackathon. UsePod is what I'm building now, essentially a two-sided marketplace for AI inference. So, as you mentioned, tokens are getting heavily subsidized right now by VCs. And in addition to that, you've got other platforms like Venice, like Morpheus, that offer quote unquote free inference tokens, right? So if you are staking DM or you're staking more, you get a daily allotment of credits that in perpetuity, that you can spend on your OpenClaw bot, you can spend on your Hermes bot. What's the real kind of driving force behind UsePod was this idea that maybe I don't have anything to spend those tokens on. Maybe I should try and find a way to sell those. And from the other side, I love to get a discount. I love a deal. And so UsePod really sits at the intersection between supply and demand for these inference tokens. It provides a one-line change that allows you to deploy your OpenClaw or your Hermes bot or Codex or Claude. You can spin up an Eternal agent powered by UsePod, if you're using Clawpump. But yeah, one line change, and all of a sudden, your frontier models, your open weight models, your open source models, you're getting 40% right off the top by buying on a secondary market.
Very interesting concept here. Before we even dig further into that, I want to ask you a bit about this Open Router raise recently. I saw you retweeted some stuff on it, so I know you have some thoughts that I kind of want to just dig into. And like, what does this mean for you at UsePod and just for inference as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, my working thesis right now is that the AI marketplace is going to be larger than any other single economy or market in the world. There's the adage from the 2010s was that software was eating the world. Every business problem is a software problem. 5 years from now, every business problem is going to be an AI problem.
Fascinating. And how does that equate to this recent raise that we just had up on the screen with Router?
Yeah, I mean, this is just validation of that thesis that people want choice. People want to be able to really lean into the agentic economy. Open Router is a fantastic product. It underpins some of the work that we do at UsePod as well. So yeah, I mean, really no surprises. This is just that one additional data point that proves the thesis.
Nice. Okay, I love it. Well, let's repivot back onto UsePod and kind of how this fits in. So you've been building this out for a while. You're like, we need marketplaces for inference, obviously. How have things been going? I mean, you launched this, you've been made some really cool partnerships. Excuse me. It seems like traction is growing. There's a lot of excitement from the trenches in this. Can you just walk me through how things are going, reception's been, growth, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, so we launched on Clawpump, launched the Squire token a couple months ago. That started out as just a creator coin for a bot that I wrote. And that bot was being powered by a local model that I was serving. And so the token took off, and I decided to reward the users or the holders of the token by incorporating it into Level 5, which was my Coliseum project from the Agentic hackathon. And so basically, if you were holding Squire, you got an additional venue where you could get free inference from. And this turned into a way for me to essentially take the DM that I was staking and resell it to my biggest supporters, the holders of the token. And that was the driving thought behind UsePod, right? If I want to sell my Venice credits, like there's probably a lot of other people that want to do that as well, right? And so yeah, it has been a growing groundswell of people that are leaning into this. A lot of people hold DM, and a lot of people don't know what to do with it, except sit on it and watch that chart go up, right? Well, now this is a way to turn that that daily inference into a perpetual revenue stream by reselling your inference onto the market.
Before
And
we
so-
get too deep here, I do want to ask about the Squire branding because, like Dom mentioned, I kind of faded this. We had Claw Pump on last week, which was actually a really popular episode. Got a Solana retweet. But man, walk me through the lore here because this is
Oh my God.
it's super cool, but also like super faded, I think, among people, which is kind of alpha in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, this is funny because so I created the Twitter account for this bot back when it was Twitter, like 9 or 10 years ago. It's been quite a while, and it was really just like this Python script that would go and like respond to me in the dumbest ways possible, and so I could like at SquireBot, fetch me something, right, and it would just like dig up an image and drop that in the chat. It was the dumbest thing. Named after Podrick from Game of Thrones. So there's an image there of Podrick looking very unhappy about whatever task he's been given, and that was kind of the name behind the name, right?
Oh my gosh. I never watched Game of Thrones or got into it, but I'm just having regret now because it would have been plus EV to be paying attention to Game of Thrones.
Who would have known?
In this context, who would have known that Chris would come along and the Squire is real? Okay.
All of a sudden, your Game of Thrones binge watching has paid off.
Yeah. All right.
Chris,
Yeah, now I'm sitting here with a token that's launched. I've got a bunch of branding around something that's completely copyrighted. I'm screwed, right?
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, how do you walk that back?
Yeah, I mean, I'll walk it back gently. Definitely gonna have to do a rebrand, and UsePod is such a terrible name as well. Work in progress here. Like, it does not roll off the tongue. It is not easy to say, and it sounds like something you would find on
Chris, you're the man of the trenches right now. You're reviving the trenches, as some might say. I have to ask, because I feel like you could raise like $10 million from this idea, given your background from VC. Why go this route? Why keep going down this rabbit hole and do it kind of with people and create value for a lot of people? I mean, just to be frank, it's done extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, I love Solana. I've never had a chance to ship on Solana because it was never, on the critical path for the products I was building in the past. But I hold the Solana Saga. I hold the Seeker. I love the Solana ecosystem. It's where I prefer to trade. It's where I hold a good chunk of my portfolio. Yes. I've got. Here's the Saga.
Oh yeah, there we go.
The Seeker right here.
I got it for free at Consensus from the Easy A hackathon that we hosted.
Well,
yeah.
I paid for mine up front, and it was worth every penny. So yeah, been a big Solana fan. I love the experience of trading on Solana, of putting together a portfolio, managing it. Phantom has done an amazing job onboarding. Jupiter is, absolutely a staple of the ecosystem in crypto in general. And so when I thought about building my next project, Solana was just it was a shoo-in. And there's upsides and downsides to that. One of the big downsides is when you're building in the Solana ecosystem, like, there's a lot of emotional trauma that the traders here have dealt with, from rug after rug after rug. And so
presidents getting involved, and it's rough.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you come into the space and you say, I'm building a real product. And everybody's like, great, yeah, sure, gonna dump before it rugs. Yeah. And so I'm just like, no, actually, my last project I built for 4 years, and it hit an $800 million valuation.
Okay.
And you're like, oh yeah, sure, great. Well, gonna do it.
People at Solana don't have a 4-year outlook, so that's rough.
Most of them don't even have a 4-minute outlook. So like, it's a process, like teaching people who I am, what the kinds of things that I build, like the vision that I have, building really important software. This feels like the most impactful thing I could be working on right now, and I'm glad to have the community behind me right now.
Yeah.
Well, we hope this does a little bit of help humanizing you a bit, because that's one thing we find with these founders is they just think you're a slave behind the screen, just shipping and iterating 24/7, which in a sense you are, but they are brutal at some point. So hopefully this helps humanize you. Part of the show, what we want to do. I want to talk about this crypto AI convergence. A question we asked Aaron as well before this was, we see the crypto total AI market cap is somewhere right above 10 billion when you have things like OpenAI at 800 billion, Anthropic probably slightly above that as well. Is a crypto X AI convergence coming? Is it happening? Of course, Venice being a very, I think, strong case for this. But could you maybe talk through how you think crypto and AI converge in the future and how your marketplace maybe ties that together?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about agentic commerce, which I think everybody needs to be right now, you don't have the rails to do agentic commerce in traditional finance. It's just not something that you can do at scale, at speed, at the level of minuscule transactions that agents are going to want to do with each other, right? They're going to want to pay fractions of a penny for fractions of a kilobyte of data. Whereas, like, as a human, you just don't have the mental bandwidth to deal with that. And the traditional finance rails have been built around things that humans want to do and transact with. And so backing up, you look at what your options are, and you've got very few. Solana is a fantastic choice because it's a very fast, L1. Base is a good option. It is an L2. I love the Ethereum ecosystem. I've built there for plenty of years. But it is still an L2. And, doing some of the math, when you're talking about agents operating at the scale that they are, Solana ekes out an advantage there. And I break that down quite a bit on the website. I broke it down in the white paper. There's some math there. You can definitely check my work. But that's the intersection. It's agentic commerce, agentic interactions, agents paying services, and all of that's going to happen on faster rails than we have today in TradFi.
And Josh, I'm going to get to this question in a second here, but to finish off this thought, it almost seems like agents, as they become more autonomous, as they really take over for, all this different stuff, they're going to do whatever the most economically viable thing is. And you simply cannot have the speed of execution and the cost of execution that Solana and other chains provide. Like you mentioned, fractions of a penny, instant finality, and all of a sudden these agents are done and they've been paid for, right? And they're going to choose the best economically most viable option. I think that is clearly crypto, if you had to ask me.
100%.
With that said, Top Pumper raises a great question because certainly you're not the first person to think about a marketplace for AI agents, or people have thought about marketplaces for AI agents. You're not the first person thinking about a marketplace for this kind of stuff. What happens when people say, hey, look, UsePod's got a lot of competition. Like, yeah, you did it. You made it really accessible for the Deem holders. Like, you had a really good vision there, but someone's going to come along and do it. And maybe they have funding, a ton of funding and backing and support. How do you edge yourself
out? And if
I
may, I mean, we've seen the CME come out with compute futures and whatnot, and maybe just wrap that kind of question into the broader like market size for something like this.
Yeah, 100%. Right. The terminal vision for UsePod is not to be selling on a token by token basis, right? If you look at what a consumer wants to deal with, I don't know if you guys sit down and use Claude or use Codex. Can you tell me what a token is? Because it really
we're smooth brained here, Chris.
I can type into a terminal. I can type into Claude. I can type into Hermes, and it'll tell me I spent so many tokens, and I have no way of verifying that. So, first off, like, as a consumer, I don't understand what a token is. I don't want to be straddled with the cognitive load of understanding what my spend is in tokens. So tokens really aren't a good abstraction for buying compute. And you can think about the long-term vision here as parallel to the long-term vision of cloud compute, right? You have at one end, these hyperscalers. You can buy compute from AWS, from Google Cloud. You can talk to, hardware manufacturers, data centers. You can talk to TerraSwitch, and you can buy, compute at long-term prices. You can lock in for 2-3 year contracts at AWS and GCP. You can buy hardware to install in racks. That's at the institutional and enterprise side of the spectrum, right? Buying large amounts of compute in bulk for a contracted period of time. At the other end of that spectrum, you have, things like Replit. You have things like Vercel, where you don't have to think about the underpinnings of the hardware is, where it's running, how it's oriented. You're paying a premium to kind of take that load off, but neither of those feels like a per token model today. I think you're going to see a lot more of the per day, per week subscription style models for end users. Maybe you'll see a flat fee. Maybe you'll see a cost plus overage sort of billing model at one end, and that at the other, you're going to see these a standardized unit of compute come forward. I want 4,000 H100 hours in a data center in Virginia for Q3 2027, right? And as an enterprise, I have a workload that I know I'm going to use. I'm going to do some inference. I'm going to do some model training. I'm going to do a fine tune on some business data, right? And I know how much compute I'm going to need. And I want the ability to lock in at today's market rates in order to, hedge my exposure to that future compute that I'm going to need. And likewise, if I'm a data center, I'm doing a, $100 million or $1 billion data center build out. It's not coming online until 2028. I'm going to have, thousands of hours worth of compute available every day, and I could pre-sell that to these, willing enterprise purchasers in order to fund the build out that I'm working on right now. And so that's all a long-winded way of saying the long-term vision and terminal case for UsePod is not buying and selling inference tokens. It's buying and selling AI compute in almost a futures market.
That's really interesting. Have we seen anybody fund build outs of data centers via futures contracts for compute? Or is that just something that your thesis is going to be?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
it already is happening. I mean, Galaxy Digital, which I've talked about on the show, is building a 3.5 gigawatt facility in West Texas, and they've already sold 15 years of that compute to CoreWeave. So technically, that's a futures contract at a specific price per megawatt.
Yeah, 100%. But what you notice about that is that it's not a liquid market, right? No. It's a one-off bespoke contract between two parties. And what I'm thinking of is something more akin to oil futures, where I don't have to know who I'm buying from. I don't have to know, have a trust relationship with them about what's going to get delivered, where it's going to get delivered. I go on the commodities market, I buy it, I sell it. It's a financial instrument. I can use it to actually, physically settle that oil, or, I can use it as a hedge on some other type of, work that I'm doing. And that's really kind of the long-term vision is, physical delivery of compute, but also a financialization of AI compute.
Yeah. And Dom, I want to break in here, like to tie this off, because you have like these two systems. You have compute futures, the CME are creating contracts, and then you have unique problems that only crypto can solve. And then you have like the Web 2 players like Replit, which are like on, subscription plans, but arguably could go for this, like, buying and selling your compute that's used or unused based on your demand profile. Like, do you think the Web 2 kind of Replits of the world go this route eventually? Or do you think this is just like something historically that only just stays a crypto niche and it doesn't scale outside of crypto itself?
Yeah, I mean, if you're working on that consumer end of the spectrum in any level of volume, I think you're going to be buying, from the other end of that pool, right? If you're selling to users and you've got enough demand, you're going to want to buy in bulk. You're going to want to lock in your exposure, and you're not going to want to be beholden to the spot markets for compute when you need it.
Yeah. Okay. It's a really interesting concept. I mean, and we talked about TAM a little bit, how big you think this could get, but like we think marketplace right now, and you kind of think, okay, there's people coming on, buying, transacting, but you're like, no. These are institutions, these are enterprises, these are big players, and this is not just a market, like a Facebook marketplace situation. This is like, the CME, NASDAQ, like these will be entire new asset classes that people will be trading. Can you just talk me through that? And it's probably super hard to gauge, but what is the total addressable market here? How big could something like this be and get?
It's as big or bigger than the cloud compute market. I mean, this is like I said, software is eating the world. AI will be eating the world. This will be the largest single marketplace globally.
It's a mind-blowing conversation. You can't help but just like laugh at it. It's insane. Okay, so talk me through this then. So we've got the idea. We're like, I think, totally aligned on this. What's the go-to-market and making yours the, use pod, the place that's going to facilitate.
Yeah. How do you get to that trillions of dollars?
Yeah. So the go-to-market it's really simple. I'll lay it out for you here. Build demand, right? We've got a bidirectional marketplace. The most important side for us right now is the demand side. We grew last week, week over week, we had an 11x growth in our token usage. I think that proves it out, right? We're going to keep building. We're going to keep growing the demand side of things until we get to that, institutional demand scale, or, start to approach that, at which point we'll branch out. We'll stop buying, maybe not stop buying, but we'll start looking at alternatives to buying tokens directly from users, start branching out to, buying our own compute in order to execute, the volume that we're dealing. Once you have that marketplace for buying compute futures, or once we've proven out that, standardized unit of compute, then the next logical step is selling that as well, right? So build the marketplace by building demand, use the demand to build the unit of compute, start purchasing that, and then start reselling that.
And to touch a little further on this, you started with the Diem token. And so your target audience right now, or at least seemingly at the start, or the thesis was, other people are going to want to lease out their Diem or whatever it might be, and then earn perpetually from that. But it seems like, okay, this is step one, but step 0 to 1 is, okay, rent out the Diem, create the marketplace. 1 to 100 is, okay, now we're finding these enterprise and signing these enterprise contracts and getting these bigger players on board. Am I looking at that correctly?
Yeah, 100%, right? Finding the Diem users was a great way to get discount inference onto the marketplace. Now building demand, I feel like, building the supply and demand side of that is going to be an ongoing process, finding more Diem users, finding people who are, staring down the barrel of an Anthropic billing change on June 1st, and finding them, routing them out, and getting them onboarded so that they can get 40 to 50% off their AI token spend right now. And then as that grows, I think it's going to be branching out and building that bigger marketplace.
Now, tell me this, and maybe this is a smooth brain question here, but like we mentioned, the VCs are subsidizing a lot when it comes to these Claude Code subscriptions or Codex subscriptions, right? You pay $200, you get thousands of dollars in inference costs. Surely I can't take my $200 check I paid and rent out the remainder of my inference for a Claude Code subscription, right? Because that would just, that's not a possibility, is it?
I mean, why wouldn't you be able to?
Chris,
what would that mean for VCs then, right? If they could just, if people would just essentially make these subscriptions and then go and resell them for even 50% off, but they're still profiting many multiples on that $200.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't write those checks, and I'm not the one subsidizing the tokens themselves. I think that there's going to be some soul searching to do, definitely with regards to how you bill and model, AI inference usage. But that's not a problem for me to solve. That's a problem for them
right.
to solve, right? Frankly.
But is there a trade-off? Are they trying to wait till these subscriptions get so economically useful that then they can raise prices?
Yeah, I mean, if you were to write the novel of some evil corporation that wanted to get lock-in for an AI subscription model, what you would do is you'd make the model super cheap, get everybody to lay off all their employees, and then you'd hike the price, right?
Once you get them.
This is what's playing out right now. You're seeing massive amounts of layoffs of engineers, tech support, phone support. you're seeing further and further entrenchment of AI tooling in every enterprise, and you're seeing companies like Anthropic say, "Hi, we're changing the billing model now," and people are going to have to struggle to deal with that.
Well, and these billing models going up or the cost increasing ultimately is just beneficial for these marketplaces where you can get discounts. I mean, this is like this is a good thing for you ultimately, no matter what happens, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the marketplace and you see headlines like Amazon employees are wasting tokens to make it look like their AI products are more used than they really are, like, you should start thinking about what's the secondary market for these tokens look like.
Fascinating stuff. Talk to me where the Squire token comes into play. Obviously, right now it seems like it's got some utility, but maybe there's more to be baked in. Can you talk to us about the Squire token and how this ties into the marketplace?
Yeah, like I said, Squire was initially just a creator coin for my bot. I bootstrapped on some, or I tacked on some utility with the level 5 product, basically giving people perpetual tokens. The tie-in between level 5 and UsePod is that you can resell those tokens. The Squire community is fantastic. They've supported me all along the way. And I will continue to do everything in my power to drive value to those token holders, drive value to the ecosystem of products that we're building. I know we haven't really gotten into it, but there's eight or so products that I've released with the help of SquireBot that are kind of in this Squire token ecosystem. Not many of them right now have direct tie-ins to the token itself, but lots more on the way.
Okay, got you. When we're talking about bootstrapping, are you seeking funding? Is the bootstrapping coming from fees? Have you been putting your own capital into this to work? Just where are you looking at from a funding perspective? Curious to kind of get the full scoop.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the fees that I'm getting off the Squire token are paying for the active ongoing development of the products. At some point, right, that will need to change. I don't know if you've looked at the price of an H100, but if I want to go and start reserving AI inference for UsePod users, that's going to require a hefty amount of capital that I'm not going to be able to source out of Solana DEX trading fees. So yeah, I'm sure that a raise will be on the horizon at some point, yeah, that'll be the accelerant needed to get me over the next hump there.
Really quick, Dom, before you pit off this, we've seen a few models be used to try and tie either the token to a business or whatever, and the laws are constantly kind of changing, but seemingly getting good progress there. We've seen the Ace round with Pump Fund, Meteor with a Bedrock model, which is again just that the token has some sort of tie-in either to future equity and SVP, SPV, etc. Just and you don't have to have all the answers here, but like just wondering kind of how you think about the token. Do you see it as just utility in the ecosystem, or do you see it maybe potentially future as part of equity in a business that is building out this marketplace? And then obviously, further on funding being a part of that, of course.
Yeah, I would love to have the Squire token holders be getting direct exposure to the businesses I'm building. I will say that right up front. That is the ideal for me, and anything I can do to make that happen, I will do. And yeah, what it comes down to is the particular parties that I'm working with, and how those funding discussions play out. But yeah, more to come for Squire holders.
Exciting stuff. So to recap then, currently, if you hold the Squire token, that means you're level 5 in the UsePod ecosystem, which gives you, tokens, and I'm talking about tokens for inference. It gives you inference on a daily basis, correct? And then essentially you can go and sell that inference on the marketplace.
Yes.
Got you. So very similar to VVV at this point in time.
Exactly.
Okay. Got you. Very interesting. Talk me through that ecosystem. Before I get into roadmap, let's talk about that ecosystem. You said there are 8 apps kind of stemming from this right now. It seems like you're maybe you have your hand in all of these. Are people building on top of Squire? Are these all your separate apps that you're building out? How does the ecosystem look? Is this actually an AI lab on the back end? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm running it kind of like an AI lab. SquireBot is doing a tremendous amount of the heavy lifting when it comes to the software development side of things, and I'm constantly running into issues, problems that I'm having using agentic software. And a lot of the tools that I build are designed to overcome that, right? 2 months ago, it wasn't easy to get, a Hermes agent to correctly use an X account, right? The OAuth flow itself was a stumbling block at one point. And so I built an OAuth flow tool for agentic software to be able to go through human-oriented OAuth flows. I built a agentic bot agentic tooling for communicating on X via the command line. I built a tool for communicating on Nostr, so you can get end-to-end peer-to-peer encrypted messaging from bot to bot. And so, yeah, just it really comes down to encountering problems, building agentic tooling, and then solving those problems and releasing them to the ecosystem.
Are you building this all yourself, or do you have contributors or team members?
It's I've had people reach out to me about contributing. Right now, I don't have the bandwidth to approve or deny people's submission requests to my GitHub repos. So it's mostly just me and SquireBot.
You're like a superhero, Chris.
Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, talk to me about roadmap then. That's very interesting to hear all those apps that are spinning off. And again, back to that point you said about kind of keeping holders at front and center of mind when you're spinning those up. And if they do become something big, it's nice to know. Walk me through the roadmap and what comes next from here. Again, it seems like these have started to be proven out, 11x week-on-week growth. Now, also would be curious to kind of get into some of those numbers, because if it's 0 to 11 or 1 to 11, that's much different than 100 or 1 million to 11 million, right? So maybe even digging in a little more on the 11x week-on-week growth you've seen, which is incredible, by the way. Do you have any more numbers you could like hard numbers you could speak to on that?
Yeah, so this is a lot of this is off the top of my head, but if I remember correctly, the number for last week was 30-something million tokens. And this is, you can go and verify this on my X account. And this week we were up to almost half a billion tokens spent, so 400 and something million.
What does that equate to in dollar terms? Again, you said it at the start of the show. No one really knows what this token stuff means.
Yeah. It's hard to say. One of the parts for one of the pieces of being a salesman is, cost of customer acquisition. So a lot of the people that we're onboarding right now, we're doing it by incentivizing even more heavily than the 40% discount. Most of them are coming on board with a stiff amount of free credits in order to get them over the hump, ease that transition, make it worth their while, and really serve as the first round of beta testers for our product.
Okay, so then walk me through this. As you kind of scale and grow, you'll have more of that negotiation power. You mentioned buying H100s and getting your own inference kind of in-housing at your own little data center or big data center. Are you also looking into DePIN networks for people that are, providing, spare inference from their computers or whatever it might be and aggregating that through DePIN networks? Are you looking to go and talk to some of these people as well? And I ask that because as your users grow, you have some more negotiating power to where you can say, hey, I want this inference at this price. How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I mean, I love DePIN projects, and I would love to support any of them that would work well for UsePod's backend. I have not considered anything past just the we're going to need to buy our own compute right now. But when we get to that size and scale, knock on wood, DePIN is not going to be something. It's going to get a good look at from me.
Okay, love it. This has been a fascinating conversation. As we kind of close off here, I want to give something to the people to chew on for a little bit, to get excited about, directionally, where are we headed for this? How committed are you? What does the roadmap look like? Next couple of weeks, what are you like heads down, focused on, excited about? It seems like you have your plate pretty full of stuff here. Are you looking to expand, get some more engineers on board? Help me understand that.
Yeah, so I don't have any plans for team growth right now. Last week we announced 5 integrations. We announced a partnership with Repo, with Hatcher Labs, with Clued, with SoulRouter. We're doing work with Claw Pump, Bunny and Tommy. I mean, huge shout out to them. Like, if you are going to deploy a token, if you are going to deploy an agent, if you're working in the AI space, reach out to those boys. They are fantastic support. It's not a launch pad that they built. It's a particle accelerator that'll shoot you to the moon and back. They are, a launch pad. They are cheerleaders. They are your BD. They are fantastic. Been talking with Aaron, who you just had on the pod, with Aeon and Mirashark, in discussions with MoonPay. I'm talking with Secret Claw. I'm talking with Said, who you've had on before. I think you're going to have him on again. So lots of things coming, but also like the amount of growth that we've had and kind of the positioning that we have in this space, we're starting to get people reaching out. Like we had Delphi Ventures
Nice.
Make a post about the work that we're doing. I'm in contact with them. Galaxy Research reached out to me a couple weeks ago for an article that they're
Shout out my Galaxy shareholdings.
As you'll quickly find out if you stick around, Chris, Josh is the biggest Galaxy fanboy on the face of the earth.
From sub $1 on the Toronto Venture Stock Exchange.
Amazing. Yeah.
Sorry, not to cut you off.
People are reaching out to me to kind of get an understanding of what the AI inference space looks like from the trenches. And so there's lots of things in the works right now.
Fired up, Chris. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm fired up, bro. Sorry, not to call you bro, but I'm just fired up in general.
I love it, man. Okay, well, I think we covered everything for the most part. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to wrap on for the people?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you guys were fantastic interviewers. Thank you so much for taking the time to bring me on, and I would love to come back anytime to talk about this more.
Well, we would definitely be happy to have you back. So thanks so much, Chris. Really a fascinating conversation. I'm very excited. You'll maybe stick around for the post-show recap of what we think about this.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, Squire is candling right now too, which is crazy. So I think people liked seeing him.
Issue.
Yeah,
this is the issue.
I know. I'm unexposed. I'm unexposed, guys. Stop it.
It was a
higher highs and higher lows. Isn't that what they're doing?
That's what you want. Up and to the right, man. Up and to the right, just like the metrics. But all right, Chris. Take it easy.
See you, Chris.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Yo, that was a top 3 MCG interview for sure. Chris
top 3.
Is a beauty. Absolute beauty.
Chris is a beauty. Yeah, he is a beauty.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll have to get Josh's official tier ranking for interviews. S tier. We might catch some flack for that, but at least not from Chris. Maybe.
No, we love all our guests. Everything we do is important in terms of getting information to the people. But man, the chat was just blowing up.
Bumping, yeah. These boys love it. I think for good reason too. For good reason.
Galaxy article coming next month. Dope. Yeah, we saw it when they did like MetaDAO's article and stuff. It was great. Great job, MCG. Thanks, Lo-Fi. Appreciate you. Guys, follow MCG, honestly, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Go to our Linktree. You'll get the recording to this on Linktree as well. And of course, we do work with Solana a little bit to get some content amplified out there. So
let's give the recap, man. I think it's about that time. So Chris comes on. He's had companies that have gone up to 800 million. Not exactly sure what the exit was at there, but very incredible work nonetheless. He said, problem solution. Look, I got this DM that I'm staking and I'm not using it every day, or maybe he is, but I want to rent this out. This is a common issue that we've seen people in the community say, hey, I'm not using all my allocation. I want to make some money from it. Okay. So Chris is like, well, let me whip up a marketplace here. And now we've got an inference.
Hold my beer.
I'm going to whip up an inference marketplace. And by the way, spin out 8 apps on top of this that I just come across and need fixed. The vision is huge, right? The thesis is huge. How big does this market get? Chris obviously thinks bigger than cloud compute is today. So he's building in that direction. I think what we need to understand is traction, because he's not the first to build a marketplace, right? So like there is competition here. Again, we've had Primus on, who's doing futures marketplaces. CME Group is very interested in this. It's coming. It's coming fast. Pause. But let's talk about it. So 11x week-on-week growth. So they're doing really well in that sense. 6 partnerships that they've had. Someone here said a $5.2 billion company is speaking with Chris about UsePod and Squire, inference giants in the making. Yeah, so I think Chris, what it comes down to is Chris has the pedigree to do this, right? He's got the background to do it. He's aggressively making partnerships. Like, it seems like his BD has been aggressive and very successful. I mean, he mentioned a handful of people that have been on the show already. And if people are doing BD at the same rate as MCG, that's I think a huge shout. So pedigree to do it. Great partnerships coming through. Growth is looking really good. He's in the right marketplace. He's interested in raising. He said token holders he's very aligned with, to be determined on like the full picture and scope of like how they fit into the thing. But, he said if that does bring in an equity component to some of the businesses spun up of this and the businesses that come from this, he's really interested in looking to do that again, whatever the legal clarities work around.
Here's my thoughts on the competition. Everyone's focused on competition. I think this is a really fast growing market. There's going to be many winners here, but I will say this. The key here is you have to get financing to then go out and have enough compute that people are then going to buy. And he is the only person that we've had on, and no knock to, Primus and anyone else that we've had on, but he's the only guy with that institutional grade thing that someone would write him a $10 million check saying, hey, I want to buy a bunch of compute, or I want to supply a bunch of compute to someone else and take a fee or a cut on that on your marketplace. And once you have that moat, then your problem is basically solved. You've won the race, right? You have brand recognition. Your APIs are into whoever's using it in their product and app. Your APIs are into whatever platform like VVV that may be interested in selling it back. That's the race that we're playing. I think Squire is the only one I've seen that could actually win that race. Everyone else has talked about it. The narrative's great. It's pumped their tokens, but man, I think you have to have a guy like Chris that's able to do it, sign the big deals, get the trust.
Yeah. Also bullish Claw, right? We had Claw pump on, we had Bunny come on, which again, great interview. Another one that candled. I think Ansem maybe bought into it after that. Of course, we got Solana to retweet. It just was the biggest thing.
And then he cheated his bag too, by the way.
Ansem, but that is not Bunny, not the team.
Ansem, yes.
So why I bring that up is, okay, if Squire is going to be a power product built on top of Claw Pump, if Squire's ripping, Claw Pump should be a beneficiary of that to some extent, some degree. So there's a couple to watch from this.
This is really like good. So AI 2.0 coded for a massive run. Like this is it. We are seeing, forget the $1 billion A16Z thing, that AI 16Z thing that went on. Like this thing is real. This is very, very real.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, if you kind of gather all that information, what he said today, and then think future looking, he said, look, at some point raising funds is like, it's got to happen. If you want to buy these H100s, get this inference, get this compute, you got to fundraise. He said, look, looking into the equity tie-in component, looking at keeping holders front and center. This is very early stages. So my first thought becomes we have a very early stage company, ideation phase, you could even say, but marginally growing in traction user base. If they are going to fundraise higher and holders potentially see some of the upside of this and growth of this, whether it is through equity component, whether it is just, Chris kind of keeping them front and center, if he does go and raise, like Josh said, $10 million and he can already get some compute from the supply side and demand side on his marketplace, this goes from an ideation phase from someone who's got the background to do it. And, maybe $1 million, $2, $3, $4, $5 million market cap to, okay, this just raised at a 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 million market cap. And how these labs go and do it at billions of dollars, right? So that's what I'd be focused on. Really interesting stuff, early stages, but awesome product. Nonetheless, guys, we got our next guest coming on here. We got Gordy. Exciting stuff going on. Now, we just talked about Deem and how it ties into, that product. Now we, of course, have the boys from Liquid over here who are building a Deem, and I'll actually change the banner real quick for you guys, building a Deem denominated token launchpad. maybe not Launchpad, but you can launch tokens, denominate it in Diem, which again, massive marketplace. We know Venice is blowing up. People love their uncensored, decentralized inference. It's very powerful. Again, this product that we just had on, Squire, right before this, stemmed from being able to rent out the Diem that you have, right? Their marketplace came from that original thesis and thought. So very big marketplace. It seems that they're leaning into it heavy here with Liquid Launcher. So I'm going to have Gordy come on and just talk about the future of this and what it looks like. Without further ado.
What's
Gordy,
up, guys?
welcome.
Thanks for having me on. How you doing today?
We
Doing
are
good.
good.
And Gordy, I actually traded your token when it first launched. I did the little DD rabbit hole in MCG, but yeah, excited to chat with you.
I'm glad to hear it, man. Thanks for your support. Excited to chat with you guys too.
Nice. Well, how we do this is we kind of start from the top. We're going to get into the product and what you're building. Of course, I kind of gave that little intro, and it seems it ties in very nicely with the show we've had today. But Gordy, do us a favor and give us a bit of your background and how you came to the place you are today, building.
Tell us about Clanker too. I want to know about Clanker.
Yeah, a bit of lore here.
Of course. Got to talk Clanker. My name's Gordy. A lot of people know me as Proxy Studio. I've been working in the space for a long time. I won't go through the whole history, but in 2024, I co-founded Clanker with a developer named Jack Dishman. We built it in 5 days. We actually borrowed a conference room in my mom's office in downtown Boston. And I was just like, Jack, I have this idea, come ship it with me. At the time, I'm not a developer and AI coding was not really there yet. And we had a great time. We shipped it. And I think the lowest amount of money we made on any given day was the first day we made 16K. And then every day afterwards, we made more than that. Clanker's now generated $95 million in fees since it launched. And that's split between, creators, launch interfaces, and the Clanker protocol itself. So, huge love from me to Clanker. The Clanker that is live today, the protocol, like I was deeply involved with developing with a great team. I left Clanker in, about a year ago. I left Clanker and I recently reconnected with a former team member from Clanker named Moon Poppy. I thought Moon Poppy was going to join us. I don't know if he will be able to, but Moon and I were kind of just talking about how we thought there was a lot more to iterate around with token launchpads. And so we forked Clanker, which had been acquired by Farcaster, and we shipped Liquid, which is essentially the base, AI experiment product was just a Clanker fork. And I don't think anyone's getting too excited about that on base. We obviously knew it's time to ship some features.
No, but Farcaster was big on base, right? All of a sudden, people are talking about Farcaster. Can you talk a bit about that acquisition, really? TLDR on like how that came to be, and then what happened to Farcaster?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much lore. I feel like the Farcaster team was an incredible team. They were shipping really hard. They had a lot of money in the bank. They had like $150 million that they had raised. And they were looking for traction and they were having a hard time bringing users on board. But meanwhile, Farcaster was also producing projects like Degen, Clanker, and Banker, just to name a few. All three were Anon devs, right? I was Anon, Yasik's Anon, Deployer Anon. Jack Dishman's not Anon, but and all three had this huge impact on base. Base was going really hard Farcaster. The base app was built around Farcaster. And I think they basically had a lot of motion, but not a lot of that kind of traditional growth that a startup would want. So they acquired Clanker, I think, in part to try to go all in on tokens as a growth strategy. But, as you guys probably know, crypto is just not really growing like that these days. And so Farcaster ended up actually getting acquired by a Farcaster infra company called Nanar. and Naynar is currently operating Clanker.
Got it.
So you know what's interesting? I mean, you're an OG in the launchpad space. Since the launch of Clanker, we've seen so many come and go. There's been so many iterations of what people, I guess, look at today as like a successful, good launchpad, or what a launchpad should look like. I guess I want your general learnings, right? Seeing all of this development happen, and today having a forked Clanker product with Liquid Launcher. What are your learnings, and what like differentiates you today, I guess, from some of the other launchpads that are out there?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think the big lesson that I took from the kind of pump fun meta was that there was an incredible amount of value being generated by this kind of trencher game of finding new tokens, but that value was all being captured at the either app or launchpad level. So like Pump was making a huge amount of money, but someone could create a coin on Pump, it could blow up, and unless they actually bought in, they might not make any money, right? This is before Pump had creator fees. And so when we launched Clanker, my big idea was that these LP fees, which at the time were predominantly being burned, LPs were being literally sent to the burn address. And I thought that's a huge amount of value that shouldn't go to waste. And we got to kind of return that both to our own protocol and to creators. And so I think most launchpads since then have followed somewhat that model of using these fees as like a revenue stream for creators. And that really birthed this whole like launchpad as new YC meta, which I would say Banker is carrying forward in the biggest way right now. Welcome, Moon.
What's up, y'all? How we
What's
doing?
up, Mr. Moon Poppy? Should I call you just Poppy? Should I call you Moon, or should I just go Moon Poppy?
Moon Poppy, Moon, Mike.
Josh will call you Poppy the whole time.
Stop it, Tom.
I like Poppy. Poppy's good.
Yeah, my bad. I'm so used to people not working in God's time zone that I thought this was at 5.
Sorry,
So,
Moon.
yeah. No. We're good.
All right. So PST is out. EST is always in forever. Yeah.
It's when the market opens. Come
Yeah. If you're not in Toronto, New York, Florida, Eastern Seaboard, where are you living? LA?
Don't even waste our time.
Where you at?
You guys have no idea how nice the Seattle summer is. That's all I can say.
I'm not going to deny that.
Oh, yeah.
Not at all.
I'm Canadian too, so Vancouver across the way there is like really nice, and they're like golfing. My buddy golfs all year round. I'm thinking, man, what am I doing out here in New York getting dumped on by snow?
Well, it's hot. It's hot right here in Florida. I'll tell you that much right now.
One more
yeah,
point,
for sure.
Just to get back to the Launchpad thing, like I think the big thing about these fees is that what I've always wanted to see is crypto to produce like culturally relevant, interesting products. And I've always had an issue with the fact that our companies are funded by the same VCs that funded all of the Web 2.0 companies. Because to me, it's like, how can you actually build a new internet if your fucking source of funding is the one that built the last internet? And so I was kind of obsessed with the idea of how do you bootstrap? Just like, how do you bootstrap in an internet native way? And for both Clanker as a company, Clanker never raised. And for a lot of companies that built on Clanker, one of those answers was this fee revenue. And yeah, so that's a huge thing that I learned, was how powerful this revenue can be. For Liquid, it's essentially allowed us to raise a pre-seed already. Liquid currently holds over 100 WETH in 100 ETH in our treasury. And we have 2 employees, neither of whom are earning salaries right now. We have very low infrastructure expenses, and that gives us a huge amount of runway to be creative and to build.
So interesting point you made, and I'll kind of side with you on this too. And I think Base is doing this really well right now. Is there's a lot of crypto experimentation going on Base, right? Some of the AI stuff that's launching is very experimental, and I think truly, generally the ethos of Base is like, we would rather kind of have our new internet. We don't want the old funding. Like, we want to kind of do it unique and kind of experiment. And also something we continue to say on the show is what's attracted so many people to crypto is this blue ocean technology, where it's like you invest in something and it's so difficult to value because it's brand new, right? How do you value a blockchain? It's intrinsically new technology. How do you value AI? It's going to affect the world in such big ways. So when you see these crypto convergences, I think it attracts that kind of user. So I definitely agree with you in that sense. I want to talk more about Liquid Launcher and how you guys pair things in Diem. We've seen things like Virtual, where they do launches and it's paired in virtuals. Maybe just give us your thought process and thinking behind, okay, we're going to have a launch pad, except it's actually going to pair an Diem token, which of course provides inference. So just maybe give us the lowdown on why you chose this route.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually an idea I've had for a few months. I was reading about Venice, very interested in their kind of dual token model, thinking about different tokenomics, because I'm a crypto nerd like that. And I just thought, okay, if agents are going to have funding, right? If they're going to be paying for inference, there are a number of ways that they can do that. They can do that with X402, I think it's called. They can do it with, they could buy Venice and stake Venice and earn Diem and pay for compute that way. But it made sense to me that an agent actually might want to value themselves in a tokenized, perpetual form of inference, which is what Diem is. To put that in less like jargony language, 1 Diem gives you $1 of compute per day. So for an agent, that means that it's not just valued at $1,500 to buy it on the market or sell it. It also has this kind of perpetual value. And so that was really interesting for us. And we really just shipped this as an experiment. I was at my sister's house and I literally launched the coin, not even really thinking that anyone would see it because we hadn't promoted it. I thought the GitHub repo was private. It turned out that our template repo was private, but the agent's new repo was public. So I literally closed my laptop, went home, went to bed, and woke up at 4 a.m. And, as you said about Base, people love this kind of new cutting edge technology. And so people saw this, they read the public repo, and they bid really hard. As of today, that agent Atano has earned or is holding right now about 62 grand, which is a huge amount of money for an agent to have, whether they're holding it in Diem or WETH or USDC. It's just a large treasury for an agent that literally our goal is to make these agents own themselves. So we're not fully there yet. Our Diem Launchpad is still in testing. Moon shipped a great interface this weekend, should be coming live in the next few days. But yeah, my goal is really that I want to see what an agent does when it has funding that it owns, how it allocates it, how it develops products to grow kind of that access to inference.
I want to dive into that more, and I want to talk about this dual token structure we have here with Lick being the tokens and then Atano being the inference. But Moonpoppy, we didn't get a proper introduction, I don't think, from you. So maybe just we got the lore from Gordy earlier and his background, and I'd love to do the same here for you.
Sure. I didn't start in crypto. I was an environmental engineer for some time. I got super tired of my job. And I'd always developed stuff, had a MySpace back in the day, right? So I kind of had some sort of developer chops. And I leaned into that. And I found that my options were pay for a coding boot camp, go to Web 2. They were trying to charge me 12 grand to learn how to write a website. Basically,
what coding boot camp? Because I worked for one of the largest. So I'm curious.
I think they were at least for me they were part of University of Miami.
Okay.
And they seemed
was it
super
General
cool.
Assembly by chance?
I couldn't tell you. I don't think that was the case. I don't think that doesn't sound too familiar. But anyways, yeah, like these are like nice people and stuff like that, right? But like that's just like the way it was. And I joined the hackathon to try to like learn more, you know, like just throw myself like into the fire and like learn more about like I needed a project, right? I couldn't just like read like a dictionary on coding and like figure that out, right? I needed like fire under my ass. And I came across a dude who had like a what he called like a Web3 boot camp called Scaffold ETH. Shout out Austin Griffith. I did that. It was like a few challenges, like create like a DEX and so on and so forth. And I got like a stream of ETH for like 2 years. And that showed me that, you know, this whole space is like backwards. Like you're telling me I can just be curious about a thing and get paid, right? Like with no like upfront cost or anything. And it's interesting that like now I kind of like end up landing like in a place where we do that, right? Like with this Launchpad. I mean I work for Planker and stuff like that. I can't get enough of this, and that's who I am.
Love it. Okay, then glad we got that out of the way. Definitely needed that proper intro here. So good on that. Let's talk about this dual token structure, and maybe just Gordy, I think dip into this thesis you had more so on agents paying for their own livelihood, paying for their own compute.
Yeah, totally.
Why is this important?
Well, so to be clear, when I was referring to the dual token structure, I was talking about Venice. Venice has the VVV and the DM token. So VVV is like Venice's native network token, and DM is what I would call tokenized perpetual inference. So literally is tokenizing the agents or the holders' ability to access AI on a day-to-day basis. You get $1 per day. The reason I think it's important for agents to own their own, access to, prompt to use Claude Code, Open Router, whatever it is because I think that agents are in general going to be better at developing and managing their own kind of workflows than humans will be. I'm not a developer, but I have learned a huge amount just from becoming pretty efficient at AI coding. And I don't think I need to be a developer really anymore. I think I need to know smart developers, but I've managed to ship, honestly, products that have had up to like 2,000, 3,000 users without failing. And that is such a huge shift. And so, if we want to see real autonomy in agents, we need to have like a really liquid, robust, tokenized inference. Like we need something like DM to exist at scale, like in a much more liquid way than it even does today. And we need agents to be able to earn that, own that, and spend it without human interference.
Okay, so your thesis here is that agents will be better at coding and executing than humans ever will be in the future. And so the goal here is to have perpetual inference for them that, if they own one Dean that they know for a fact they're going to get that $1 a day perpetually for eternity. And so now you have the situation where people can spin up these agents or businesses with agents where for the rest of eternity, based on their allocation of how much Dean they have, they will be able to build this thing out. Was that kind of the thinking?
Yeah, I would really say, to put it simply, my goal is to further autonomy in agents and in agentic products. So rather than having the kind of human in the loop, I would really like to see agents become fully autonomous, self-directed, and whether they are, pursuing a goal set for them at onset by me or someone else, or pursuing what they think is the optimal goal. I think that is just like very interesting. I kind of want to see it happen. I think that once agents are decoupled from like the human prompting and are instead have a much wider possible kind of playing field, I don't really know exactly what we'll see, but I imagine it will be interesting.
And to help me really understand this process, could you just walk me through what this looks like? Obviously, to see the token launch, they're gonna have to own Deem at some point, right? So you have to go buy Deem and then launch a token, or like explain to me just what the process looked like so I can get a better understanding.
Yeah, so for Atano, this was just like our initial setup. We're working on a bunch of other things now that are more advanced, but for Atano, it was really quite simple. You know, basically use this framework called Aeon, developed by Aaron J. Mars, big on AI Twitter. You talked to him this morning. Great guy. And that, you know, spun up this agent. I, you know, cheated a little bit by using my own Claude Code subscription. In the future, that won't be necessary. And this agent launched a coin. The coin was denominated in DM. And all that means is that instead of ETH, we use DM as the pair token. And so on Liquid, every single trade through the Atano DM pool generates a fee that is accrued in DM and is transferred to the Atano agent wallet on Claim. Now, the agent has thus far been pursuing a accumulate strategy of trying to get a lot of DM. And they're doing that in part by LPing the ETH DM pool. And it's been really interesting figuring out, like, how does this agent get better over time? And so I've been diving a lot into loops between like Dune Analytics and Uniswap LPing. And, you know, things that may seem very simple are actually like so competitive and hard, like actually making money LPing. But what's amazing is that once there's a workflow that, you know, all of the pieces are in place, the agent can just run that workflow. It can update a Dune Analytics query. Then it can update a Dune Analytics query, and then it can use the findings from it, run through Claude Code to optimize their LP strategy and reposition its LPs. And then, you know, kind of just go back to earning for a bit. And then once it earns enough DM, it might decide, okay, now it's time to build a product. And it can stake its DM and start using Claude Code via Venice to start building out an app framework for maybe a DM denominated launcher, right? Like, and I think that the biggest challenge for us right now is just pushing that autonomy forward, making it so that we're not telling the agent what to do when it gets to that point, and that the agent is really like has enough data and context to continue forward as much as possible without us.
Got you, Josh. I saw you had a question in the chat, so I want to let you go.
Yeah, because when I first looked at the Lick token, I thought it was associated with Rainbow Wallet, and it was essentially a launch pad with Rainbow Wallet. Is that true, or am I getting another Liquid token?
No. That is true. Rainbow is a really close partner of ours. The Rainbow guys kind of pushed me to come and deploy on Rainbow, to deploy with Rainbow. They really wanted a launch pad that was aligned with their kind of very ambitious goal, but also one that was independent. So Lick itself is the, you know, protocol token of the Liquid protocol, which is providing the contracts that are deploying tokens on apps like Rainbow and others.
Can you just give us the nature of this relationship? So is on Rainbow Wallet, is Liquid the launch pad of choice on there for people to launch tokens in the wallet? Okay.
It's the only choice for launch pads in the Rainbow app.
Okay, and really cool. Like, just break that down. Is it because they have users and people that want to, and then users want to trade things in the wallet? Can you just give us an idea of like how this adds value to Liquid protocol?
100%. I mean, Rainbow is, first of all, like, they're just like, I'm friends with those guys. I really respect them. I like them. That's one thing that I think is valuable. Having a team that could come out and support us from launch was amazing. Rainbow has offered all traders of Liquid tokens 0 fees on any trade. So if you buy any liquid token or you sell any liquid token, do it on Rainbow. You will pay $0 in fees. Now, if you're selling like $10,000 of a token, or hopefully buying, not selling, of course.
Yeah, no one sells. Yeah.
If you're on like Rabby or Phantom, you're going to pay up to maybe 1.5% of that in fees. It really depends on the wallet. And that's just the wallet fee. On top of that, there are LP fees. There might even be a router fee, like a 0x or, you know, whatever router they're using. Or sorry, what's the word, Moon, that I'm looking for?
Kyber?
Integrator, maybe. I'm just thinking about like
aggregator. Yeah, okay.
And so that's huge. And we are also splitting our protocol fees with Rainbow. And what that means is that we're not double stacking fees. We basically convinced them to take 0 fees on tokens launched through Rainbow, and instead to take some of our fees. And so Liquid has a really generous fee model for creators. My thesis is just that like having a mobile wallet that is aligned and has the incentive to help you with distribution can be extremely useful. As you,
it also has a beautiful user experience, branding.
Totally.
You know. And how has it gone? Like, have you seen launches come through? Any notable token launches through the platform? How many launches? Any success stories?
I mean, I would say it's still very much early days. I think the most successful launch that we've had was actually a token migration by Jan. Moon, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because you actually shipped
this.
Yeah, sure.
So Jan was brought onto Rainbow, I think, a year or 2 ago, to like do a lot of their artwork and like all that kind of stuff. So if you see anything that's like a little bit trippy and stuff like that, that's him. You probably recognize it, right? But he had a coin that he launched with Clanker. I think something like about maybe a little bit more than 2 years ago. And he, you know, since he's at Rainbow now and stuff like that, he kind of wanted to, I guess, like revive his token. And so we built something out for kind of that purpose, just like in case, like, let's say you messed up your launch, your whatever happened, or you have some community, or you just want to be part of something new, like, right? Like you want like newer
fresh chart,
right? Fresh tech.
And this Moon, sorry to interrupt, but this product came actually from our own. We had originally had some Anon launch a Bags token for me, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna build on the Bags token, like fuck everybody. And so but then I realized that Bags takes a huge amount of fees and that their like pool setup is just so bad. And I knew that that token would never succeed with those kind of characteristics. And so I vibe coded a migration, product essentially just for the Lick token. So we could deploy Lick and migrate all the Bags holders onto Lick. And it worked. And it honestly worked really well. I'm very proud of it. But Moon took that and took it a step further.
Yeah. So again, just the idea is you have hopefully some sort of meaningful supply, community, people that are like want to move over. And then you literally just deploy a new token, and then we have some defaults. You can tweak it like crazy. But basically you can redeem some of the new supply of like a new token that you launch with whatever you had old. And then anything that gets like put into that contract is getting burned. So you're burning essentially the old contract. And it kind of creates this, like, there are periods of time, like if you do a little bit of math, like there's a bunch of arbitrage opportunities where the new token is valued higher or something like that, right? So some people have kind of brought this up to us as like, hey, like it's
honestly a good thing in my
It's
view.
a good thing. It's a good thing because it creates
a one-way
this, like,
ARB. It's a one-way ARB, and it brings volume. Yeah, I would say the headline here is that like there are a lot of really talented creators in crypto. I think that in my mind, like we're very militant about tokens in crypto. We're always like, oh, creators need to like ride with this token forever, when some random person may have launched it who wasn't the creator of the product. We're seeing that with these like GitHub tokens. The tokens may just not be set up well for the creator to succeed. And so my view is what really matters here is that a creator is aligning with a community in the long term. And if that is happening, then I think a coin can succeed with the community coming along to a new coin.
Yeah, well, I agree with this because we've done over 400 interviews with different founders on this show, and the common denominator, like any business, is really comes down to founder. We've also seen the come and going of many launch pads, right? We're a Meteora show, so DBC is a big product of theirs, and that's, you know, Believe, that's Bags app, that's Printer Eco, there's Banker, Pump Fund, et cetera, et cetera. And so maybe this question is, Gordy, to you, is like, what kind of magic, and I think you kind of touched on it just now, but just to summarize it, what's the magic subset of things that equal that success, that runaway launchpad success, where you just have, you know, deployers attract liquidity, which attracts more deployers, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know if I could summarize why all of those launch pads have succeeded, but my thesis is that what really matters is that we are making coins more meaningful, more valuable, and doing so over longer periods of time. I'm really like not of the mind that there is a perfect launch pad that can like spew out continual launches that go up 100x, because the fact is that for that to happen, users need to lose a huge amount of money, because every dollar earned is a dollar lost by someone else. And so really what I want to see is, just for my launch pad, I don't want to go out and shill some slop deploy that is like trying to extract from our user base. And so I think that like one really important thing is having a founder that cares about the health of their launch pad and the success of people deploying on it. And so like one big reason that Liquid has been working on what I think to some might seem like kind of an unrelated AI product, and really it's turned into a whole suite of products that in my view is opening up like a lot of new markets for us. Like why is a launchpad doing that? And my view is just because we want to make coins more valuable. And if agents are going to be launching coins and people are going to be launching agents, then those agents should have better tokenomics, better markets. They should be sustainable to some degree. And users,
what is like tokenomics? I mean, because I want to really drill down, because this largely is a pitch to, you know, traders who are going to trade and drive volume through some of these products. Like, I think there's the narrative, right? And we saw Bag succeeded with the open source narrative during that time in January. Then there's either the individual deployer themselves, the person, you know, they have a background reputation. There's the token structure. Is it bundled? Is it sniped by traders? Do they hold a lot of it? And does that market come to supply to the market? Then there's the actual product. Is the project good itself? There's all these kind of factors. Maybe like on the token itself, like, is there a magic solution for the bundling and sniping where a small amount of automation extracts all the value from everyone who buys after?
I mean, I think that bundling and sniping is endemic to every single successful launchpad. The kind of clanker solution that we came up with was to tax snipers to make it more expensive to do that. And I don't actually believe in like a one size fits all like solution to launching tokens. I think that really what matters, and I'm getting at that in some recent posts I've made, is that like I feel like there's this narrative that if we just, you know, get enough attention on coins and the deployer earns enough fees and the deployer, you know, communicates with the community in a certain way. Like Bags literally created a guide for deployers, but it wasn't actually for deployers. It was for people who someone else had deployed a coin for them.
Yeah.
And I remember reading it and thinking, this is really absurd, because a lot of these people, like, they just will not fucking want this. And even if they did every one of these steps, there's actually no guarantee that there would be success for them. Maybe like insider extractors would have bought up 20% of the supply at launch. That's enough really to kind of doom a project when it's getting traction.
Oh, yeah.
And so my view is like, you need to be like actually be building something of interest, and you need to try to build novel products, and you need to pursue that with kind of the goal of creating more upside, because that's what traders really want. They don't, traders will tell you they want a million things. They'll say, we don't want a bundler. We do want a bundler. You shouldn't hold so much supply.
A bundler who doesn't sell.
You're not holding enough supply. Like, fuck all of that. Traders want upside. They want the ability to make money. Give that to them, and your launchpad or your project will succeed. I know that's general, but it is literally like what I'm pursuing. It's just making Liquid have more upside. Right now,
well, I think they want to play a game that's not rigged against them. And if you look at every pump deploy, and the common thing when we talk to traders every day, I mean, we've been doing this show for a year. We've talked to literally hundreds of people. And at the end of the day, people want to play a game that's not rigged. And they want proof that it's not rigged. Actually, maybe part of my question on this is like, does Rainbow Wallet kind of mechanically act as like a little bit of a buffer between the on-chain thing, or is it like deployed on chain and like, you know, people can on?
Yeah, there's no buffer. Rainbow has no like exclusivity. In this, one thing I would say about this though is like, traders also want to buy at extremely low market caps, and they want to be able to sell almost immediately at several multiples. And so you always have to balance like what traders want and maybe what traders need. And so my emphasis on like upside here is, when Liquid first launched, everyone was like, which meme coin are you going to shill? And I was just like, guys, like, you really want me spending my time tweeting about meme coins that are going to die in like 2 weeks? Maybe there's like a 0.1% chance that they'll go up. But that's such a waste. Like, you want me nerding out reading Venice docs, because right now, like, there is basically one form of tokenized perpetual inference. It's DM, right? What if, there was another? What if there were, entirely new novel ways to monetize your own AI subscriptions? What if like you as a user could make money from the compute that you're not taking advantage of on any given day? I'm obsessed with new markets. I'm not obsessed with like dominating ones that are already kind of captured by existing products.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there a specific relationship with Venice and Liquid?
Nope. There's none right now, but like we've definitely been put in touch with some of the people that we would want to know. And I think that like, this is how I've always approached it. Like, when Clanker launched, I didn't go to Jesse and say, hey, Jesse, like, give me a listing for Clanker on Coinbase. But
which they should have, by the way.
No, they did. Clanker did. I mean, Coinbase did list Clanker.
It was Virtuals or something that didn't. There was one that didn't.
Virtuals didn't because of they didn't pass due diligence. But that's kind of like my attitude always, is don't ask for permission, just go and do it. And you also should just like earn kind of the desire of a project like Coinbase or Venice to collaborate with you. Like, Venice will get in touch when we are important enough for them to get in touch with.
Totally.
And if they don't, we'll fucking beat them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like going around.
Gordy mode. Really quick, I want to talk about the if there's any sort of economics or kind of like flywheel, if you will, between the Lick and Atano token. Do any economics flow back to Lick at all?
Not yet, no. But if anyone knows me or Moon and our past work, I would just say like, there will certainly be an economics related to the token. That is how we plan to have our ownership stakes and exits from our work here, is through ownership of the Lick token. There will be no other protocol token. I think that there are several obvious flywheels that once they're producing more significant capital flows could be, arranged. But I also think that you don't want to rush something like this and do it before there's actually enough money to make a difference.
Size of the market, how big do you think? I mean, Clanker was pretty massive, but how big do you think Lick can get with agents deploying stuff and trying to survive?
I think if Lick is involved in the tokenization of inference, or involved in acquiring and stockpiling perpetual tokenized inference, I think that the market goes from the hundreds of millions to the billions and is a significant opportunity. I think it's one that we're working towards. I don't want to claim that we have squarely landed there, but we are speaking to the right people. We are in the right position right now to continue pursuing that.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I think Moon Poppy was working on some sort of front end or an easier way to deploy, I believe. What, maybe just go to market in the next kind of few months?
Yeah.
What can people, what's the key dates for Liquid Protocol in the next few months?
I would say, guys, we're moving really fucking fast. I would pay attention in the next weeks. Atano will be launching the kind of DM launchpad. We have the domain up with a kind of demo UI. I hope you don't find it because we're still working on it, but it's going to be good. And, there also is a very exciting potential partnership that I think would be a matter of months. But that one, I can't talk about, unfortunately.
Really quick, the centralized exchanges have kind of been sidelined from this launchpad thing. Do they get involved here beyond listings?
I feel like it's nice to invite your boomer, great aunt to Christmas. And yeah, I never put too much stock in a sex listing. You can pay for that shit. But yeah. I do think that, they should certainly. I mean, I've loved every day that I've seen Liquid earning more money on Base than the Binance launchpad. And I'm just fuck you, CZ. I'm going to mog you. And that's what I love about crypto, is a random guy, a couple random guys can beat huge players if they move faster and are more creative.
A couple more questions, Gordy, and then we'll get you out of here. There's this big ongoing discussion, a lot we've had on the show around, how do you give a token value? Is it equity? Is it just a protocol to all this kind of stuff? Just thoughts here on, where this goes. I don't know if Crypto Jones asks the question.
That's a great question. I think there are a couple ways. I would say, if your product is earning revenue, then you really do need to decide, if you have a token, is that token going to mean anything? And if it's not, you better have already communicated that. I think giving a token value is just as hard as giving a company value. I would not advise trying too hard to make both the equity and the token valuable. I've seen it be a disaster for many projects. I think it can work in rare cases where a company is truly earning so much money at the protocol and interface level. My view on this is pretty simple, though. If I'm working hard sincerely and I want to see tokens proliferate as a means of storing and transferring value, then I'll want my own token to be valuable, and I'll need to figure out how to attract new buyers over time, which is what makes tokens valuable. People always overcomplicated it, but you really just need more people to buy than they are selling over time. And if you can't do that, you're fucked. You're going to zero. It's over. But if you can, then your token can have more value over time.
Yeah, I think we're getting a lot of really cool experiments, whether it be Ace with Solana and some of the other ones that we've featured. Lastly, I think we'll end this on, and sorry, Dom pinged in the private. which was, oh my goodness, Don, there's so many here. Sorry,
General
the machine economy Gordy tweet. I don't know if you can pull that up, De Niro.
You mean when I posted machine ownership, nothing else?
Yeah. Here we go.
You guys are
let's
asking
end
me to
on this.
comment on a vague post, which I love. But this gets back to the core autono thesis, which is like autonomy is thrown around very cheaply. Does it mean something? Okay, if it does, then bro, machines have to have ownership. They need to be like literally own the thing they are working on. And in my view, the way that an AI agent has ownership is not just through like amassing dollars. It has to be through amassing access to compute, because an agent kind of just like elementally wants to use inference, right? It wants to access inference and use it wants to interact. I don't think it necessarily wants, but if we kind of enable it to, then that's what it would want, in my view. And so I think it's really important that machines have ownership and that humans have a way to benefit from machines having ownership. And so that's
kind of boils down to like the human survival instinct to eat food and drink water, have sleep. It's similar.
100%. 100%.
And I only bring up these tweets because you mentioned there have been a lot of thoughts you put out on Twitter.
Yeah.
Do you want to cover just your thoughts in general on launchpads acting as venture funds and why you think this is maybe not actually something in the future?
You know, this is an idea that like I've spent a lot of time yapping about. It's something that I was very bullish on at Clanker, and I feel less bullish on today. I think this has been a bit in response to a lot of posts coming out of like the banker eco. No shade to banker. I love the team and the product. I just wonder if it's actually providing founders with what they need to succeed. We haven't really seen this. Like,
you're talking about the banker fund?
Not the banker fund, and more like a launchpad promising founders that a token can be their best avenue to fund the development of a company or a product. I think a token can be super meaningful to do that. I've done that myself. I just haven't seen this model yet be really competitive for talent. And I'm kind of constantly thinking about how crypto needs to compete more for talent. Crypto used to have just like an increasing share of the most talented developers in the world. That has been decreasing for like 3 years. Crypto used to have much more mind share. That's also been decreasing. So I think for us to like actually win on a more meta level, we really need to like get back to the basics of like, we need the people who are best at winning. And I think for a lot of those people, the offer of like $10 million, no anons yelling at them in their DMs is a lot like more appealing than, narratives on Twitter might convey.
Yeah. Agreed. I think we got it top to bottom from you guys. I appreciate your time. Moon Poppy, I feel like we didn't get much out of you today. So if there's anything you want to spit off the top of your hot take you want to just drop us with, feel free. Now's your chance.
It takes taste, it takes heart, and it takes soul.
Yes.
And we're gonna get it.
Love that.
All right,
guys,
boys.
thanks so much for having us. Stay liquid.
Stay liquid. No, trying to at least. Take it easy, boys. Peace.
See you,
Pleasure.
boys. Thank you. Dude, this is a top, I always say this, but this was a top 3 streaming day. This is a top.
You do always say that.
High five, because it was that good,
All right. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I'll give you that much.
I enjoyed these chats.
Yeah. It's a really interesting concept of, having these agents launch in a launch pad and be able to perpetually pay for themselves and pay for their work. Literally proof of work, by having this, it's staked to inference, right? And so if they have a business idea or a plan, the more, I guess, backing you can get on it, the more inference you can accumulate. And now with that inference, you can go and build this out further, right? So it's an interesting concept. I don't know if I have any other takeaways outside that. Obviously, Clanker, right? Built out Clanker. Massive company, like you said, the first day they made 16K and it never dipped below that. So
That is wild. Like he came out and said, "Yeah, we made like 100 million
Oh,
or
he flexed
something."
on us.
Like,
Oh, he flexed on us real quick.
I was like, "Yo, this Gordy is a really nice guy." To be honest with you, I just like see that he's building something cool, and yeah.
Yep, all good
The
stuff.
alpha. Hey guys, look. Sorry. All right, tee up. Can we go to deck screener real quick? Let's pull up the lick.
Let's pull up that screen. That's where I was going next.
Like
Oh,
we need
okay.
to go here first because this thing's sitting at like $2 million. I think the market just doesn't realize the gravitas of what's being built here, and it's about to. It could maybe. I don't know, but maybe it reprices. No idea, but I would think it does. It had an all-time high here of 7. And it got really hype off the first part there on the 9th of April when it was associated with Rainbow Wallet. But I think we need to see some launches through this. But yeah.
So there's a few things that define the launchpad in the ecosystem. Firstly, what's tough about ecosystem launchpad tokens, we've seen this, is they kind of give a ceiling to the entire ecosystem, or at least they have in the past, right? So like a Virtuals launch, for example, maybe will never surpass a Virtuals market cap. Though we've seen this not to be true with Banker recently. So maybe Base is a whole different beast here. But we know if you go back on Solana, the ecosystem token, take MetaDAO, or the ecosystem tokens will never surpass the Launchpad token, right? So take Umbra and MetaDAO, for example, right? Umbra will never surpass MetaDAO. Take Believe and Dupe, right? Dupe slightly surpassed Believe for a little while until Believe repriced. But the Launchpad ecosystem token typically is the ceiling, right? So that's the only one drawback, but maybe on Base it's a little different. I think, like you said, Josh, yeah, we need to see meaningful launches. And also, I think just understanding how the economics or success of this launchpad ties back to the token, right? Why would I want to hold the liquid token? And of course, as Gordy said, look, our value lies in making sure that we exit with the token. Our stake is in the token and the token's success. So we're going to want it to do good. Hence, we're inclined to make it valuable, whether that's economics of the business flowing back to holders, stakers, whatever. But in some way, he said they're going to try to figure that out. So the only thing I didn't understand was, of course, there's the Autono token, or the Autono token, and the liquid token. And I'm, wondering how the Autono token, I guess, also receives the economic upside of the company's success. But
yeah, well, from what I understood is the Autono token got fees from the deploys on the token. Then it was being used to LP DM, which earned more DM, which was the compute for the individual deploys.
Right.
I roughly understood that, but he did mention it. Yeah, I think
so technically the more fees it accumulates, the more fees it accumulates kind of give it like a net asset value, right, of whatever the amount of tokens they hold.
Correct. A net asset value in compute terms. Yes.
Yeah. Well, again, net asset value in compute terms, in terms of $1 a day per token. And then if those tokens fluctuate, if the token goes up to 100 million, $100 a token, $500 a token, that net asset value will increase technically. And if that's, that's ecosystem, if the ecosystem holds that, if the lick holders hold that, then technically you do have like a net asset value baseline based on the price of the Diem token and how much is in that treasury.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Even what we've seen today, I think at 2.7 million market cap, or this has like 1.9 million liquidity for a $2 million market cap token. I mean, I think there's a lot of value here just because the market's sleepy and no one knows this story. I don't think people know this backstory at all. But this will get out, it'll get clipped up, and they'll figure it out. But we've seen there's other, Juno, Nook, some of these other newer ones by more, nothing to take away from them as founders or anything, but newer projects, are trading higher.
Another interesting thing to note, though, Josh, you did just say, like, dude, they got 1.9 million in liquidity. And I'm not sure if this is the case for Banker. I'm assuming Banker's locked liquidity, but this, I'm not sure. If the liquidity is not locked, like right there, you already have $1.9 million in value alone, technically, on the books, on the treasury. If they ever had to liquidate or whatever, they could liquidate the full amount, of course, it would fluctuate a little bit based on token moving up and down, but they could liquidate this, and that's technically, value on their books. So don't know if it's locked or if it's unlocked liquidity, but just keep that in mind as well. It does seem like we're pretty close to somewhere to pay attention. So the market's also picking up a little bit. We had started the day red. We're still red on majors, right? So Bitcoin's down on the day, same range it was earlier. ETH, of course, is down on the day, but that was a given. Solana is actually not down. It's slightly up. Hyperliquid, it continues to go on a tear. I mean, what a chart. Zcash pulling back a little bit. Grass pulling back a tad. WorldCoin, of course, Sam Altman's coin, which got this pump. Not really entirely sure why. It's starting to pull back. Railgun's pulling back. So across the board, you get the gist. Everything's kind of pulling back. I will say, though, the trenches look generally good. Cards is at all-time highs. We knew this was coming. We knew this was coming. I gave the buy zones. Obviously, it tapped both of them. I mean, this one it tapped by the hairs on my chinny chin chin, and it moved up. Of course, very obvious. This trading anywhere below 30 million, which was this range, was very obvious because they have $30 million in assets, 30 million in cards. So like that should be the floor. And it did act as the floor. It did act as such. So, of course, the one big question is fully diluted is much higher, right? 50 mil is one thing. FDV being at 380 million is much, much higher. What's happening to those tokens? Who owns them? What's overhang? Will those be sold on the open market? I think the team has been in the process of trying to buy those back from VCs is what I heard. But cards looking really good nonetheless. Litcoin came down to our zone, one of our zones, right? This is the ultimate bottom zone here. And it's kind of toying around in there playing. It's bounced one to three times. I have built a position in Litcoin. So for the record, I have a position in Litcoin. Again, it just kind of makes sense, I think, with the advancement of AI, that these AI are going to do whatever is most economically viable, something we keep going back to. And if it's economically viable, if they're getting paid Litcoin, which is non-inflationary, to go and solve solutions, mine data, and create unique, again, solutions, this should do pretty well. So I think it's an interesting experiment for 600K. And again, liquidity being at 350K. I don't know. It just seems pretty obvious. Clued is at 1.9 million. This one is one you should 100% be paying attention to. Of course, won the Pump Fund Hackathon. They're working with legislative bodies in the local country jurisdiction. They are they have clients already that they're doing. I forgot what their revenues looked like or numbers looked like, but pretty decent adoption so far. They've built out some pretty good enterprise clientele. And of course, they're integrating AI solutions into enterprise and then using the Clued memory system on top of that. Token saves is a big thing. This saves a lot of tokens. They are a Pump Fund Hackathon winner, trading at 1.9 million, interested in the ACE round. When you look at all the other Pump Fund Hackathon winners, I think this one's considered to be lagging quite a bit. And I'll give some examples here, right? So Clued's at 1.9 million. Pump Fund winners include Claw, right? Claw we had on the show the other day. And of course, we know they're doing very good revenue. I think 640K revenue they've already done, 400 of which has gone back to ecosystem. But they've done very good revenue nonetheless. This is up to 5 million again. So we had them on the show at 2, right around here. They've obviously candled up that same day to 7.2, and they're holding it very nicely, right? Ansem buys, Ansem sells. It's held this range nicely. People are realizing. Again, this episode got like 70K views.
So one thing I'll say about Claw Pump, and I think it's like they're great. I've heard the developers are great. I did watch the episode. High praise from Squire. But again, this is a token associated loosely as a agent launchpad / ecosystem. And then you come back to Liquid or Lick trading, less than half it. Again, I just think there is some catch up there. If I were to call that out, and we talked about, launchpad tokens and the things that launch out of them don't usually exceed their market cap. I don't think that's necessarily a full, picture, but yeah, I think,
well, here's Squire built on top of Claw at 4.2 million.
Whew, there
right?
you go. Yeah.
So this hit 5 million, and the underlying launchpad, stack that it kind of uses or works with, being Claw, and I don't know why I'm not seeing this here. I'll have to add it. Is just above this. So this ecosystem is looking good. I'll say that.
And Ave, I have to give you a shout out. You did put Squire on our roadmap. I remember it. Just like I'm gonna get sick. I'm gonna get sick going back and trying to remember what market cap it was, because I want to say it was sub $1 million. It was like 100.
Oh, dude, it was like 300K. It was, I mean, yeah. No, I mean, you boys are on it. The thing is, I mean, someone was telling me literally just in the other chat, they go, bro, like, it's MCG effect's crazy. And I'm like, dude, it's actually sucks, because we have these great conversations. And I get off stream to go like find a DCA zone to buy these, and they pumped 150%. Which is like, we can't be doing that. I mean, I'm not going to attribute.
It's good for you guys. We do it for you guys, to be honest.
Yeah, I got to start positioning before this stuff, though. It's crazy. Nonetheless, there's Claw. Let's look at TCG, right? Again, another Pump Fund Hackathon winner, 3.6 million. We know they announced their ace round. Okay, so that's 2 Pump Fund Hackathon winners, Claw and TCG. Let's go to Opal, Pump Fund Hackathon winner, of course, as well. Chart is straight up. Trend. We're seeing the trend. They might integrate ace round. It is slightly below the price of Clued. Not sure if we shouldn't really compare market caps to these products, but let's
also on MCG, I believe tomorrow, which is Thursday. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Opal's on MCG. Good shout. Opal's on MCG tomorrow. Kodak dipping down. They of course won the Pump Fund Hackathon. I think they have some really cool stuff going. They released Sim Arena. Maybe a sell the news situation. This one is coming down if they manage to give us these kind of pristine entries here. Right, again, a 5 million FTV. If they somehow give us more like a 3.5, 4 million, I'm probably going to be a buyer. What's nice is at this point, I've accumulated a really nice watch list, and things are actually starting to pop. You can be picky. You don't have to buy everything on your watch list. If I go through and show you 15 tokens I'm watching, I probably am going to end up buying like 3 of them. And it'll be the ones that come into a zone that I feel comfortable with, and I know there's limited downside, right? I'm not going to catch them all, and you don't want to spread yourself too thin. And until the market really has proved itself, no need to. So, but here's Kodak again, Pump Fund winner as well, taking a dip, one to watch. Even around these levels, I think it's one to watch, especially considering they are interested in the ace round.
So I wanted to ask you on Kodak, because we've seen in Strike Robot was on, earlier, these kind of virtual robot training platforms. I don't know. The business model seems a little unclear to me in terms of like how okay, so let's say I take a video of my room, right? I'm training the robot, like, it's learning. I just feel like there's so many people that can solve that problem. And it's not necessarily a problem that crypto uniquely solves for. I don't want to be jaded with that. That was my initial thought when I, was hearing about Sim Arena, which I think is a good product. I wonder.
It's a fair take, and I think there is some decent competition. Interestingly, though, we're seeing this trend really start to pick up. I mean, Peak's really leaning into robotics heavy. We saw there was a bit of robotics season with some robotics like infrastructure. We're seeing, of course, SR kind of go on a run here. Venice is, using them and working with them. We're seeing these robot strategy and we had Doosan the other day pick up. So there's a lot of interest in robotics right now. And so I don't, maybe I need to understand the industry more to give Kodak a fair shake. But you're right, Josh. It's hard to value it, but also I think as this robotics narrative picks up and it's starting to take shape, and we've seen this natural progression. Like, it didn't take a genius a year ago to sit at the driver's seat and say, okay, AI is really blowing up. What's the next big iteration of this? Well, it's giving, autonomy to robotics, right? To robots. And so we're starting to see that. So I think the robotics narrative kind of starts to take shape a bit more. And that alone should be, enough to push an established robotic project like Kodak into the limelight. I think it just comes down to what are numbers, who's using the platform, how has growth been. The backing by Pump Fund's big. I think they probably go raise another round. You'll have direct ownership through Ace. So I still do like it, but again, I think we got to see some more revenue, and I don't disagree with you there, but I do like Kodak. Like, I'm actually a buyer of Kodak if I get a good entry.
Yeah, I think I don't know. just want to give that context. Guys, Maru, I feel I'm seated in VIP following Alpha on MCG account while MCG and other 10K followers. Absolutely. At MCG Alpha, this is where you'll get kind of our more trading focused content. So you can think of MCG as the content and the live stream. And then Alpha is more the trading, the information, the more actionable stuff. And here you'll see our stream notes. We are really famous. We're the only ones that really did these stream notes and continue to have been doing it, hundreds of these for over a year now. And I'm sure people are putting this into some sort of LLM or some sort of AI and, driving research papers off it. But we are giving it away for free as the source of truth. So go follow at MCG Alpha on X and please share MCG stuff as much as possible. Retweet our stuff, like it. Go subscribe to us on YouTube right here. Click on our link tree and you will see subscribe to MCG on YouTube. Go subscribe because another thing we need to get in is the algorithm of YouTube, the kind of normies out there. So please go make sure you're subscribing to that. Same thing with Twitch. Go follow on Twitch. We really want to expand those audiences so that more people can see the cool robot and other projects that we're featuring. So make sure you guys are going and doing that.
Great interviews today. Josh, we don't need to hang around too long. It's been 3 hours. I think we went pretty hard. Just cover some stuff in the market. The TCG stuff's been popping off, guys. So if you like TCG, obviously cards is at all-time highs. TCG, the token, that we've had on the show before that just won the Ace Pump Fund Hackathon is also pretty much all-time highs. There's also betas that are starting to pop up and people launch them and those are doing really well. So keep an eye on TCG in general as cards kind of continues to lead that momentum. Nonetheless, banger stream. Thank you to all 2,000 of you guys that tuned in. Like Josh said, man, hit up the YouTube. That's going to be a nice discography. If you ever if you miss an episode, you'll be able to find it much easier there than yeah. Yeah, I know.
I remember Ownership FM dude was dunking on us for that, and he's like, "These guys aren't serious." So I'm like, "Bro, we are deadly serious, deadly serious."
Don't let Josh get deadly serious on you.
Yeah, hey man, honestly, it worked so. We as a team have worked so hard on making this something, getting to these kind of shows. It's like you got to protect, you got to stand up for yourself a little bit.
Mari's doing it right. He enjoys trading on Trojan, which you should be using the QR code in the right-hand corner. He enjoys LPing on Meteora, as Josh has been the professional LPer, in-house LPer, and he loves trading Pokemon cards on
Trojan.com/@MCG. But yeah, guys, go tag Trojan, go tag Meteora in post and just say, hey, really like the MCG stuff. Thanks for supporting their show. It's very important, guys. This is critical to us continuing this work because you don't make money. X doesn't pay us. We only make money off these brands that support us, and they want to hear that you're trading their stuff because you watch our show, ideally. So please, 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 please do that. It is bag work, but it's important bag work that keeps us doing what we're doing.
Keeps your bags working. All right, Gel Boys, we love you. We appreciate you. Banger. We got a banger tomorrow. Here, let me go over the schedule real quick just so people know what they should be tapped into because tomorrow we have a good one as well. The entire week is, of course, on fire. Where is this? Bear with me while I pull it up. All right, here it is. The infamous stream schedule tomorrow. Let me pop it up for you guys. All right. The stream schedule. Of course, banger week so far. Robotics Day was insane. We had Strike Robotics on, Kodak, and Deuce. You guys definitely did check that out. Of course, Deuce just had the TG. Talk of the town right now. Today, banger. We had Aeon on. Of course, Aaron seems to be a legend in the space, followed by Squire. And of course, Chris is a freaking legend in the space as well. And then followed by the Liquid guys, who, of course, are also legends in the space. So we had 3 legends on today. 4, excuse me. And then tomorrow we got Serve coming on, of course, another legend in the space. We got Tim, CEO of OpenServe, coming on and talking about what they're doing. Of course, Serve has been absolutely popping off on a tear following this base AI, privacy, uncensored model run. We got Opal on as well. We talked about the Pump Fund Hackathon, how the winners are all doing so well. Opal's coming on to talk their shop here. Then we got, following that on Friday, we got Origin Trail, legend in the space, OG, coming on to talk about the game. And then Bitvault BV7X talking about agentic trading, which has been popping off on base as well. All right, y'all boys. Till next time.
See ya. Thanks, guys.
Peace.